All right, boys, we took a little break, but we're back. Week 2, we got Patrick Bet David this week. Before we get into it, you boys know I love to fire on the Prize Picks app, all right? When it comes to firing on sports, boys, take it from me. I have tried every single app known to mankind when it comes to firing on sports, and Prize Picks is by far the funnest and the best app to use. Instead of choosing teams, you're choosing individual players. So each player has a set projection, and you either go more or less than that set projection. So, I've said this before, if you're smart with sports and you know what players are going to perform on what nights, Prize Picks is a no-brainer. Try it out, download the app. For first-time users, we have a code NELK. So that's for you boys to take advantage of. Use code NELK, it's a 100% deposit bonus. So download the app, plug in that code, they're gonna match your deposit up to $100. Easy steal. Also, me and Jimmy Gambles, we've been running it up on Prize Picks. We won the Prize Pick Championship, won a $300K, so we're the best on the app. Dusted everybody in the tournament. Prize Picks, I want my trophy, I want my chain. Download the app, Prize Picks, let's get into the pod. All right, boys, we are back with another Full Send podcast. We took about, is it 3 weeks off almost, or almost a month, right?
4-week hiatus.
Little 4-week hiatus. Honestly, boys, straight up, just felt like we needed a little bit of a break, straight up. No super explanation. We were on a crazy Happy Dad trip. We launched the state of Pennsylvania. We launched the state of Georgia for Happy Dad. So it's just been a super, super busy time for Happy Dad.
It's also a pretty good run. That was like, what, 2 years straight?
Yeah.
Almost didn't miss a week.
We'd take like a week or two off here and there, but we just wanted to take a little break, just kind of reset, and then just come back with some fire pods. So we got a fire episode today. We got Patrick Bet David. We're at his office, Valuetainment.
I don't know. We're in his cigar lounge in his office right now.
You didn't do much research for this one, did you?
I did not.
You didn't?
I mean, yeah, I watched him. I know who he is.
Yeah.
Steiny
asked me, he's like, so is this guy like an Andrew Tate?
No, I thought he was a gambling, like, sports, gives you lines. Well, his name's Patrick Bet David.
What the fuck?
No?
That's hilarious.
What does he actually do? Real estate, right?
He's just like he's a businessman. He's a speaker.
I know, I'm trolling.
He's kind of like a Joe Rogan, honestly, at this point, in like a way.
No, I actually really like him. He preaches
He's been doing
a lot
some
of good
crazy interviews, but you just came from Brazil, right?
Yeah, straight off the plane. Did one night in Brazil, one day, for like probably 8 hours. Quick stream.
8 hours in Brazil for Steve's IRL.
Straight to the favelas, straight to the airport, straight here.
So what, you flew there, you were there for 8 hours, and then you dipped?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's fucking hard work, straight up. It was pretty successful. I personally, the IRL shit's pretty fun. It's just not really like, I don't know if it's meant for me, but it is fun. It's just so different, bro. You really have to put on for 5 hours straight. It's kind of hard.
I think, well, we did it twice. I think they were both pretty good.
You just need more people. That's it.
Yeah, but I also think it's not something you could do once a week. If you really want to, I think every time we do it, we'll get clipped up. But I think if you really want to maintain that high live viewer rate, it's not something you could do once a week.
Mm-mm.
And that's why I was talking to Steve about that too. And I was just like, honestly, for me personally, I don't think I'm at that stage.
You're in your David Goggins stage, though.
No, I'm not. I mean, it's just, I know what it takes to do that. And you'd have to do it 2-3 times a week.
Well, don't tell him that, because then he's going to want to ask me to do it 2 or 3 times a week.
I want Steve to.
Once a week.
I think Steve could kill it, though. I told him, I said.
He can.
I think for the IRL shit, I think that he should just kind of lead the way with that and do it on the Steve Will Do It page. And I'll pop into his shit and I'll give him ideas. But I think with the pod and Happy Dad and just running everything else, I won't have time to like lead the charge and do what it takes.
Yeah, for sure.
Because whenever I look at something that like we're about to do or enter, I always know what it takes, and it's like you got to have that mental endurance. You gotta be consistent. So
I think once a week is good.
Yo, what's up, bro?
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
What's up, man?
Good to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you.
My man.
Good to meet you, bro.
How you doing?
Great to meet you.
Great to meet you. So you guys with Celsius and Happy Dad.
Both. Well, Happy Dad's ours.
No, I know. I get Happy Dad, but I was thinking about Celsius.
Yeah. Celsius is just a great sponsor.
So yesterday we had the Shah of Iran's son here, Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi. I'm a October 18, 1978 baby. The reason why you see a lot of Iranians in America, the business, the creators, John, people like that are hustlers that are creating economy, they left Iran after the revolution. The son, yesterday, was the first time he agreed to do a 3-hour long-form podcast.
Sorry, can you explain his position again?
He is the Crown Prince of Iran. He is the son of the king of Iran that fell in 1979. Wow. Yeah, so it's a... So we're trying to make sure the intro, everything comes out the way it is. He made a comment in the interview that's never been made before, ever, because everyone's been expecting him to go back and do the job. This is the first time in 44 years he says, I don't want the job. So it's going to be released, and no one knows it yet. And the Iranian community is going to be blown away by what happened yesterday. When does that come out? It's coming out today. Today or tomorrow. That's when it's going to come. We're editing right now the intro. That's what we're working on the other side, but...
Just wanted to let us know who you had on before you come to the Note Boys.
No, it's the meeting I was coming in from, and that's what I was talking to Sam about. So it's purely on my mind. That's all I'm thinking about right now. You know how you have like you're doing something with a Trump or you got a big interview coming out. You want the intro to be perfect. Yeah, that's what we were working on.
Well, now I'm curious why he doesn't want the job out.
Why does he not want the job?
Yeah.
So, it's a very interesting thing because as I don't know what your father did for a living. I don't know what your father did. And my dad was a cashier at a 99-cent store in Inglewood. Okay. So he made $1,500 a month. That's not somebody where you have the pressure of, man, I got to outdo my dad because my dad's last name is Trump, Jordan, Carlson, Obama. You don't have a last name that carries the weight. But this guy, his dad was the king of Iran. He started reigning Iran at the age of 21. He becomes the king. He's there for 37 years, bro. Do you know how much he increases the income in Iran in 37 years? Like, what do you think is a good number for you to increase the country's numbers? Give me a number. 20x? 50x?
Yeah.
Either, yeah.
423x.
Wow.
Jesus.
He increases reading from 1% of the population.
From what years? 1940,
So go
50?
back 37 years from 79. So what does it make it? If you go back 37, is it 42, 43?
Wow.
Yeah, and then his father, the Shah's father, was Reza Khan. He was a general, feared. Like an Alexander type of guy, who was a killer at the same time, feared and respected, a combination of that. And he was in exile all the time. Now, you're the grandson of him, and you're the son of that being your father, and everybody for 44 years is expecting you to go back and bring freedom to Iran. The pressure's on you no matter where you go. And yesterday, I finally asked him a question. I said, do you want the job, or are you willing to do it because you have to do it? And he doesn't want the job. So the pressure's like, hey, your dad's Michael Jordan.
Right.
You're going to be like him?
Right.
So not everybody's going to relate to that unless people who have had that kind of a shadow before them. It's a shadow why a pastor's, preacher's kid does things, because everybody's like, your dad's a pastor, you should do good. There's a certain level of pressure that comes with it.
What was it? I know you grew up in Iran. Like, what was it like growing up there before you moved here?
So what was it like? Okay, so I was born 3 months after the king got kicked out. Okay, so I don't know what that era was like. The era of the 60s and 70s, like think about who's the most beautiful girl in the world today. If you put a name out there, you could say Margot Robbie. You got a lot of names.
Who would you say?
I'm not going to say on the pod. I can't shut that like that. Who would you say?
Livy Dunn, you know her?
Of course. She's gorgeous.
Yeah.
But don't say her. Give another one that you can give some credit to. Who would it be?
Megan Fox was like a smoke back in the day.
Okay. So Margot Robbie, Megan Fox, Livy Dunn.
I agree.
Margot Robbie's
that's a good lineup
too.
I would say Margot Robbie, Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
I would say
God.
Megan Fox, Transformers 1, which...
Insane. On the motorcycle.
By the way, once her and Shia LaBeouf were out, I'm not interested.
Of course.
I love Mark Wahlberg.
I love Shia, too.
Shia is a...
underrated.
And now MGK got in there. It's like...
What, did you see what you're talking about Fury?
Which part?
With Shia and Fury?
No.
You never seen Fury?
Oh, of course I've seen Fury. With Brad Pitt, yes. And the tank, they're sitting there and the kid is peeing because he's nervous they're about to. It's a phenomenal movie.
They talked about a story how he's so fucking dedicated to the game that he felt like his character needed to have a missing tooth. And he yanked his tooth out to get into character on set.
He's one of my all-time favorites. All-time
Me too.
favorites.
I love that guy.
Did you ever see the movie he did, acting his father? Have you ever seen
haven't
this?
seen that, no.
Oh my gosh.
How about Even Stevens?
Even Stevens is which one's
The
Even
show?
Stevens?
Come on, bro.
What?
Those are early stages.
Yeah,
It was like
exactly.
it was like a kids movie, kids show.
Okay.
Which
on
is
Disney.
great. I don't want to take that away
Got
from
it.
him.
Even
But
Stevens
anyway,
is fire.
So he did a movie. He did a movie on his father and acting like his father. And there's a scene where he's like 10, 11 years old hooking up with a prostitute at this hotel he's staying at. And then after he's done doing the movie, because his dad was a creative actor, but he was tough. I think Amazon did this movie. Maybe it's called Honey Boy. I don't know if you guys can look it up. I think it's called Honey Boy. And he finishes this movie, and he says, Dad, I want you to be the first person to watch this movie, and I want to watch you. So he puts the movie, imagine you're playing your dad, a complicated human being. He puts a zoom camera to watch his dad, watching him act him. He says it was the most pressured moment of my life. I think he was going around promoting the movie. Phenomenal movie. But anyways, going back to
Yeah, we went from
Iran. Yeah,
King of Iran to hottest smoke shows in the
to
world.
Margot Robbie to, but yeah, so back then, Iran in the 60s and 70s, the point I was going to make is Margot Robbie, Fox, done. Elizabeth Taylor was that in the 70s and the 60s.
In Iran.
Worldwide. It was her, it was Sophia Loren.
But was she from Iran or was she
No, she's from the States, but
Okay.
she was the hottest girl
Okay.
worldwide. She was everyone's fantasy, okay? It's pre your age. This is a long time ago. Elizabeth Taylor is a different story. She was married 8 times. The ambassador in Iran to U.S. was dating Elizabeth Taylor. She would go visit him. Frank Sinatra, Davis, all these guys would go to Iran to put concerts because Iran was the place you would go to party. Most people think about Iran, they think desert. Like I remember when I was in the military, they would say, so did you go to school on a camel? Did you go to school on a donkey? Like, they think about, the phrases, camel jockey, stuff like that. I'm like, listen, I've never seen a camel in my life before. I've seen many donkeys. I've just never seen a camel in my life in Iran. But Iran has these mountains, snowing, skiing. Like Aspen of Iran is insane. Parties.
Really?
It was unbelievable. It was one of the top 3 countries in the world where the rich would go for vacation. Like, people go to the Alps. Iran was one of them. Mm-hmm. Like if you were like Iran was Dubai before Dubai was Dubai. Okay?
Yeah.
Except Dubai doesn't have the mountains. Dubai doesn't have that. Dubai's flat. Iran has the mountains. And so for me, my memories are post that. I heard those stories. There was a club called Cabaret Tehran. Cabaret Tehran was like Studio 54. Incredible nightlife. You'd go there, you had no clue who was going to be there at any given moment. I was there post. So when Khomeini came through, to us it was war. I've never played outside. Like I had never had permission to play outside as a kid. My dad was worried about, because kids were getting kidnapped and they would steal your body parts, and you would find your kid in a hotel with body parts missing, but they're selling it for $250,000 to man, $100,000 to man, $300,000 to man. That's how money was being made. That was a big
And
business.
who
in
was
back in the
Iran
days.
at war with at the time?
Saddam Hussein.
Okay.
And it was Iran and Iraq. It was ugly. It was constant
so they're doing
war.
that with kids. They're cutting them open, selling their body parts out like that.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a business model back then in Iran. So parents feared kids playing outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was a different life. But like a couple things about Iran. When I came to the States and I went to junior high school, Wilson Junior High School in LA, Glendale, and they're giving me math. I'm like, why are we doing math that we did in 5th grade? They're like, no, this is algebra. So no, I get it, but we did this in 5th grade. You did this in 5th grade. Where'd you do this in 5th grade? In Iran. Why are we learning
You were ahead in Iran?
Iran's math? The level of advancement in math in Iran is unbelievable.
Really?
Why
So
do you think that is?
Because the Shah, I mean, it's a tradition that he invested billions of dollars in education, and one of the ways he felt he was going to compete with the world was simply through math. If we can get our kids to be better in math, everything is math, right? Everything we're doing right now is math. Angles are math. When you started it, timeline, how long we're going, segment, question you ask sponsors, when you put the sponsor, do you put it at 3 minutes? Do you do your intro first, then you do the sponsor? Everything is math. This is all mathematical formula. So Iran was big on making that investment. And, when you come to the States, you're like, wow, you think You're dumb in Iran in math. You come to U.S., you're like, I'm pretty smart in math. Or am I smart or dumb based on the standards I'm in? So we've dropped the ball in America immensely when it comes down to that. But Iran, they were very much focused on math and education. It was just messy.
I want to ask you, going back to, you said your father was he worked at or he's a cashier at a 7-Eleven or convenience store?
99-cent store, yes.
99-cent store.
Yes.
So where did, you said your previous interview, pressure from the parents, where did your pressure come from to become successful?
I actually had no pressure to become successful. As a kid, my parents never looked at my report cards. So I don't have, you look at my report, I have a 1.8 GPA. I just loved math. Could care less about anything else. But when I went to the military, right after my mom goes back to Iran, I'm staying at my sister's place. We party till 4 o'clock in the morning. This is a time where 7 days a week, I'm partying. That's my life. And I did that till about 24, 25. And then one day, 25, at a club in LA Highlands, big fight broke out. And I'm like, this is the last time you're going to find me at a club. Cops arresting us. I'm out. I said, listen, you got to let me go. But prior to that, I was going to do 20 years in the Army is what I was going to do. Benefits, travel, systems. You have to be at a place, food, chow hall. You do this, you become a sergeant. You do this, you become an E6. You've been in for 10 years, you make $3,200 a month. It's a very predictable thing that you can do. So I got in, and then one day, I'm in Fort Campbell, Kentucky. One of my friends calls me, Kogan, and he says, what are you doing? I said, I'm re-enlisting tomorrow. All the orders I wanted, my colonel got me, Colonel Peacocks. Sears, DLI. Sears School is a school you go to that they can break small bones because they're teaching you to be a POW, prisoner of war. It's a very intense school that you go through. It used to be very hardcore. So I got DLI, which is I spoke 4 languages, so they can use me for different languages to go, gives you better points to move up. Special Forces, 18 Delta, 5th Group. And then I was able to go to Vicenza, Italy, which is the base you want to go to. It's like the base to go to. Party, fun, but at the same time, you're in Europe. And I get the orders. Kogan calls me and says, Pat, you should get out of the Army. You can't be re-enlisting. I said, dude, I'm re-enlisting tomorrow for 6 years. He says, you can't do that. You got to get out. Why? He says, all of our friends, man, we think you can do something with your life if you get out. I'm like, nah, man, I'm re-enlisting. He said, I want you to think about it. For 1 hour, he's pitching me on getting out. Hour later, I'm like going to sleep. I can't even sleep. I wake up in the morning. I go to Colonel Peacocks. I said, Colonel, I hate to disappoint you, but I'm not re-enlisting. And they went to Virginia to get my order, so it was a big deal. Anyways, I get out of the Army. I'm a Hummer mechanic. I can't find a job. There's only one Hummer dealership in not Thousand Oaks or whatever that area, Camarillo area. And then I'm dating a girl, Janvier, who's working at Morgan Stanley Dean with her. I get a job at Morgan Stanley Dean with her the day before 9/11. I get my Series 766 to all these licenses, and I love my job. Then 9/11 happens. And then I leave. I go to Trans. We're at a party. When I say trans, I mean Transamerica. Today, you got to be careful when you say I go to trans because, you could say right. Patrick's transitioning. I wasn't. I'm a straight guy, and I'm happy with it. But, so I go and you asked the question about what got the fire. We're at a Syrian Christmas party, 25 years old. My dad's going around talking to people. One of the relatives disrespects my dad in front of me in a subtle way because my dad was a guy that helped everybody out. But he lost everything, divorce. So he was kind of like saying, you went from being the guy that was a chemist, now you're a cashier at a 99-cent store, you don't have a wife, you're this, you're that. And I've never felt that kind of a rage in my stomach ever before. I don't want to hurt this guy because he's a sweetheart of a guy. But I hated the fact that somebody talked to my dad that way. And he felt he had the permission to talk that way. And I felt like I gave him the permission, my father's only son. I can't even tell you what it did to me. I told my dad we're leaving a party. And he says, we're not leaving. You're at my party. I said, no, we're leaving. We're not going to stay here. He says, no, you're not going to disrespect me. I said, no, Dad, we're leaving. We leave. 30 minutes in the car. We're going from Glendale to Granada Hills. We're fighting. I said, I'm going to make sure the world knows your name. I'm going to make sure everywhere you ever go, they're going to know who your son was and how amazing of a father you were. So my dad, a couple weeks ago, he's having heart surgery down the street here. And the doctor comes in. He says, I know who you are. He says, how do you know who I am? He says, because I know your son. And I also know there's only one other nose I've seen that big, and that's your son's. And, they're laughing, they're joking. But, that was the first moment where I'm like, okay, what are you going to do with this fire? And then it wasn't about becoming financially free because you want a big house or a car or all. It was because
More
and
respect.
the byproduct of that was the money and the wealth.
Right.
And then it's proven. And then from there on, you have to find new fires to keep going, because what are you going to do when you got money in the bank now? What are you working for? It's got to be a different reason.
Damn, that fired me up.
Got me motivated for sure.
And then how do you go and start what you have now with Valuetainment and stuff and everything you're doing now?
Yeah, so there's a quote that really messed me up when I was 26. It says, sometimes on a way to a dream, you get lost and find a bigger one. I'm like, what? What's this even mean? You get lost and find a bigger one. I'm like, I'm going to do financial services till the day I die. I mean, I'm good at it. I'm liking this. This is fun, I'm like, what do you want me to get from this quote? So then 26, 27, 28, I hear the magical words from my parents. I'm proud of you, from both of them, or you actually believe them. Sometimes moms will say they're proud of you because they love you, and your dad, if you're Middle Eastern, will never say it. But then I finally heard it, and I looked at him and said, I actually believe you. Okay, check. That's been checked off. I wanted to hear that. But 28, it's kind of like sitting around saying, what are you going to do? Where are you going to go? And I had a handful of people that I respected a lot. They were my advisors. I had a meeting with all of them, and I say, guys, I need your help. I want to know what I do next. And they said, what do you mean? I said, I want to know what I do next. Making money is easy. This is America, capitalism. You can make money if you do your part, but it's got to be more than that. So who's the enemy? What am I fighting for? I got a book coming out on December 5th called Choose Your Enemies Wisely, Business Planning for the Audacious Few. I think 3 components of somebody that does something very big with their lives. 1, they experienced unconditional love from one person. You only need one person to give you unconditional love. For you to know that's possible and it exists. Normally it's someone's mom, but you need, meaning you can get arrested. You can do anything you're doing. That person's going to love you no matter what. You have to experience that. Number 2,
to be successful,
you have to have that, because you have to know that it's worth the pain. Love is worth the pain you're going to go through in the chaotic times. The second thing you need is hardcore betrayal and pain from someone you loved. So you love somebody so much, but no matter what you do, you're never going to get this person. No matter what you do. I don't know if you guys have read Elon Musk's book or not. It could be a female, it could be a father.
Yeah.
It could be a mother, it could be a uncle, it could be anything. But it's pain. So you're constantly engaged and proving to this person that you're worthy, but no one knows. It's a secret between you and that person. It's a relationship. And you're never going to win, but you need it. And the last one is the right enemy. Most people don't choose the right enemy. Most people choose a dumb enemy that gets them for 3 months or 3 weeks or a couple of years and even brings out the bad side of you. But if you get the right enemy going, it can bring out a whole different side of you. So, going back to what you're talking about, the plan or the vision and the wealth, I'm going there. I decide what I want to do. I realize in insurance, it's a very small space. Nobody knows the best insurance agent. If I told you right now who's the best insurance agent, you would laugh at me. Like, what is, who is that? Right. No one knows. There's no Sports Center. This guy wrote 72 policies tonight. But media is the way to go. And at the time, I didn't know what I was going to do with media, but I watched it. And then in 2012, 2013 is when I started the YouTube channel, kind of testing out content on business. And then maybe we can turn this into a media company. Now we turn into a full-fledged consulting firm. Our consulting firm will be a billion-dollar consulting company probably within 2 years, 2 to 3 years later.
And consulting for what?
For businesses, for CEOs,
businesses,
executive, helping you raise money, putting your pitch deck together. You're having challenges with your partner, being the mediators there, or strategy for your comp plan on how to put the variable.
So that's a whole separate thing from the media
that
side.
Nobody knows about.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that nobody knows about.
How many clients do you guys have for that?
We probably have 3,000 clients for that. Yeah, 3,000 clients for that.
And how many employees does it take to run that?
Not a lot. That's only 100 employees you need for something like that. But the consulting side is a blast. And the reason why that's a lot of fun, it's because you know how the people who win the votes are the guys that are out there talking to people. Yeah. Like, for example, Tucker's talking to people. If Trump announced that Tucker's going to be the VP, would you be surprised? Would you say, why would he choose him? You'd say, no, I get it. Yeah. Because he's shaking hands. He's going to Spain. He's going to
UFC. I'd be pretty
UFC.
surprised. Why? You think that's coming?
I think an alliance was built 6 months ago. And I said this on podcasts and the video, everybody was talking about it. I said, I think when I made the $100 million offer to Tucker and he turned it down and went to Twitter with Elon, you know what he said to me? This is how I took it. I took it as Elon's retweet is worth more than my $100 million, which it is, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay. If Elon told you right now, every episode you put on Twitter, he's going to retweet your first episode there for 52 weeks, kind of eyeballs you're going to get there. It's going to be insane. So if you said, I'll put it there first, then I can put it everywhere else, it's pretty powerful. So then I saw the alliance being built with him, Elon, and Tucker. It was either Tucker's going to run in 2028, but Tucker's going to help Trump for 2024, or Tucker's going to be the VP. But if that were to happen, it would be bonkers.
I don't think Tucker's going to be the VP.
I don't know if he's going to be the VP. All I'm saying is he has definitely got to be one of the candidates for Trump to consider as a VP. He has to consider that as a short list of 5 to 10 names. He has to. You know why? Here's why.
I love Tucker, but he seems like he's like also super divisive too.
Well, I'll tell you why. I think Tucker could play.
I love him, but I'm just trying to think on how to win. But
and I love let's have that banter. That's great. So in your mind, you would think, he would need to go get more like a Mike Pence. When Trump announced Pence as the VP, none of us knew who he was. You're like, Mike who?
Right.
Mike Pence. Who's Mike Pence? And I go, oh, Indiana. Oh, I had no clue. Okay. Why would he choose him? Well, because he needs to win the state and et cetera. So, okay, great. Get it. But this time around, for Trump to pick a VP, he's not picking it because he wants a Mike Pence. He's got to pick a VP that he knows can be replacing him for 8 years to continue what he's doing. So you're not picking a VP for a low-key, chill, easygoing person that's not going to be, you're picking somebody that's going to replace you afterwards for 8 years. So the strategy to picking a VP has got to be different than it was in 2016. And I think Tucker's formidable, and Tucker has an alliance to Elon, and that alliance with Elon, I don't know if he's fully yet on Team Trump, because he started off with DeSantis, and he's kind of like right now sitting around, see what he's going to do. I think Elon is still a free agent.
They got some personal,
they do. Yeah,
personal
they
like
do.
whose dick's bigger kind of beef.
That's right. That's right. Which we'll never know whose dick's bigger, by the way. But what will happen is, Tucker could be the mediator. To be like, hey guys, America's bigger than this. Let's figure this thing out. It's either, what are you going to do, Elon? You're going to waste your vote and go vote for Biden or Newsom or Kamala, or what are you going to vote for? And none of these other guys are fighters. Why don't we make it work? I think that's the battle Elon's going with, but that could happen. And by the way, everything I said, it's also very likely none of what I just said could happen. Politics is very unpredictable.
I can't see Tucker.
I'd be pretty surprised.
Tucker would be the
that.
first president to pack a Zin in the Oval Office, right?
Yeah.
Tucker will be what?
To pack a Zin.
Zin.
Oh, yeah, got it.
He loves the
Yeah,
Zins,
yeah, I
right?
see that everywhere.
We were at the fight last week, and then Trump was there, Tucker was there, Kid Rock.
I saw that.
And they were all.
I saw
that. It was
that.
like the Republican Avengers.
What'd you think about that? How was it?
It was cool. We've had Tucker on the pod too, and he's
the
super
best.
cool, just down to earth, cool ass guy.
But who did you have that didn't like him that afterwards liked him? Like, did you have anybody that's like, man, guys, I don't like this guy, and then afterwards are like, dude, he was actually pretty cool.
Like our fans,
from
or
your
just,
guys,
or,
from your crew.
I don't think
guest?
I don't think anyone disliked him before, but after that, it just showed how cool he is and like how much of a real guy he is.
Oh, our fans loved him.
Yeah, our fans love
But that's
him.
what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, for those that are on the edge, they're kind of like, I don't know, man. If you spend time with them, you'll like them.
Right.
So, that's the part where you're winning people over when you sit down with them. That's why I said Elon, Tucker, and Trump, there's an alliance there being built, and it's a very strong alliance.
Who else do you
I
think
think-
could be potential VPs?
Who else do I think could be potential?
Pending Trump wins the nomination.
Well, I mean, okay, so if you go strategically, you have to go with states. Okay, so Arizona, Kerry. If you want to go with, if you go with Nome, Dakota, he doesn't need Dakota, right? Is he going to go? But if he gets Nome, she's very attractive, very well-spoken, solid. So it could be good for the women vote, okay? I think some of the stuff Haley is doing, he can't pick Haley because she's too establishment, war, kill him, take him out, and Trump's not giving that kind of an answer. So I think Haley just lost the job. I don't think Vivek brings anything new as a VP that Trump's not already doing, as much as I like Vivek. What's Vivek going to bring to the table? They're too aligned. He has to bring an audience that Trump doesn't already have. That's why I think Tucker could bring an audience with Elon that could be a good alliance. But Tucker could also be a person that plays a advisor. Doesn't do that. That could also be a role that he could play. There's a lot of names being dropped, but all I'm thinking is he's got to pick somebody that's got to go 8 because he's only got 4. When you're on your second term, you're not, you know what it's like? It's kind of like this. Say you guys have Happy Dad right now and you guys own it, all right? And then you have certain things that you want to do that maybe you're not yet fully doing, okay? Because you have a certain amount of money. But then you go and you raise $50 million. You go and raise $100 million. Now you're not worried about money. So now you can test the thing that you really wanted to test, but you couldn't test it with your own $18 million you had in the bank. Hypothetically, what I'm saying that. The second term, you can play more aggressive than first term money.
Right.
It's a second term. So second term, it's like, hey, because you'd be in jail. Nothing happened. Hey, because we'd get Mexico to build a wall. It didn't fully get done yet. Why, though? Was he being too diplomatic, even himself? You know, Trump is so competitive sometimes that he also wants to convert people he doesn't think he can convert into liking him and supporting him. He's that competitive. So but there's certain people you're just not going to win over. I think this term, it's going to be, here's what we're doing day one. Boom, 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 boom. Because guess what? I don't give a shit if I get reelected. Because I don't need to get reelected. It's my second term. So your VP needs to be very important to take the reign after you. If you get somebody that's too soft and can't be a president 4 years later, he has to think like a Reagan. Senior became the president 4 years later. He has to think of it like a Lincoln. Ulysses S. Grant became a 2-term president, and he was his VP. You have to think like a Obama. Biden became a president. You have to think like whoever's going to be after you instead of just you. But again,
You think Trump thinks like that, or he just thinks I got to do whatever it takes to win?
I don't think he thinks like that. I don't think he thinks like that.
Trump's usually thinking about himself most of the time, right?
That's but it's not that he's usually thinking about himself. Look, there's something that
I think he just misses that chair in the White House.
Yeah,
Right?
I think so too.
you know what it is? How selfish is good? Is it good to be selfish or is it good to be selfless? That's the real question, right?
Yeah.
Like, what does a person who's 100% selfless and 0% selfish look like?
An idiot.
What is actually think about it?
Probably
Yeah,
not very successful, right?
Probably not very well. What else though? Is that person a net positive to society?
No.
Probably not. Do they smell good? Probably not. Why would they smell good? Because smelling good is a part of being selfish. Would they take care of their face or what they wear or how they present them? Probably not, because they don't give a shit. They're selfless. Now go to a person that's 100% selfish. What do they look like? You're going to use words like what? Narcissist. They're this, they're that. What does a 100% selfish person look like? There's plenty of them today. They're what they look like physically. They're like a little bit too much. I had a friend, he was so good looking and handsome. One day we were going to a nightclub. He would shave, you know, these guys who do their goatees flawless perfectly. You know, those guys, like the line is like chiseled line.
Yeah.
His line was a little bit off. He says, you know, I just asked that girl. She didn't want to dance with my goatee's off. That's why. I said, bro, you're the best looking guy in the club. What are you talking about? He says, no, she could tell my goatee. I said, it's dark. Nobody could tell your goatee's off. But the 100% selfish guy.
Probably just because you had a goatee in general.
Probably
Yeah.
because he had a goatee. But the 100% selfish guy's like, dude, you don't want that person as a friend. You don't want him as a spouse. You don't want him as a father. You don't want that person. But it's still a bigger net positive to society than the 100% unselfish person.
Yeah.
Because at least they're taking care of themselves, right? The right balance is 70-30. You can debate Trump as 80-20. You can debate Trump as 90-10. The right leader is a person that's typically 65-70 selfish, 30% selfless. And I think Trump flirts with being higher than that.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens. Do you prefer Trump wins, or do you think DeSantis still even has a chance?
We had DeSantis on the podcast a couple weeks ago, and it was an interesting conversation. It was the first time I saw him kind of getting comfortable and loose and talking, but you know, like, I'll give you one perfect example. I asked DeSantis, I showed him the clip about his boots because they say he wears high heels. And I said, how tall are you? He says 5'11". Okay. There's pictures online of his marriage with him and his wife. And they're the same height. And she's 5'6", 5'7". Maybe she's wearing heels. Maybe he's 5'8". Okay. There's pictures of him playing baseball. There's pictures of him when he was younger. After 21 years old, how many more inches do you grow after 21? Right? Mm-hmm. And he wears these boots and it just doesn't look good, right? So this hashtag for 2 days was trending called Bootgate after we did the podcast. And I asked him a question and I gave him a box of Ferragamos his shoe size. I said, I'd love to see you wear dress shoes and tennis shoes. And he says, I can't accept a gift. You know why I was doing that? I was doing that for there to be a moment of levity and self-deprecation for the audience to be like, you know what? I like him. Let me give him a chance. He's a human like me. Because when Trump went on Jimmy Fallon, he says, hey, Jimmy, Trump, they say your hair is a toupee. He said, my hair's not a toupee. It's my hair. He says, you sure? Can I touch it? He says, well, I'm about to go to a fundraising at Rhode Island. I just hope the people in Rhode Island know if my hair's messed up, it's because of Jimmy. He goes like this. You know what Jimmy does? Have you seen this? He messes with his hair. He pulls his hair. He says, no, it's real. Guess what? Done. The world watched it and said, oh, he thought he was an uptight, guy. He let Jimmy play with his hair? What was that all about? These are moments where people kind of say, he's like me. DeSantis' challenge is, my opinion, and I asked him, I could be wrong. You ever met people that grew up in an environment where they were walking on eggshells with a father or a mother that
Yeah.
Dude. And that kid grows up like, hey, if you ever want to be a president, you better make sure you don't do this or send this text or send that email with this picture because God forbid one day comes back. Dude, that kind of a life is a miserable life. I watched DeSantis. I watched somebody who's walking on eggshells.
So you don't think he has that personability quality to be
He hasn't shown
electable?
it. Unfortunately, he hasn't shown it.
Right. Yeah, he hasn't really.
He hasn't shown it. And you have to have it. Yeah, Obama had it. Yeah, and by the way, here's why though. Okay. So on this podcast, who's the main core pillar of this podcast? You, right?
Both of us.
In every platform, there's somebody that's the dog, that's the leader, and somebody that's the flag carrier. You have to ask yourself, are you in the flag carrier community or the alpha? So now there's levels to this. What does this mean? Obama was the alpha. Biden was the flag carrier. Biden became a president. Reagan was the alpha. George Bush Sr. was the flag carrier. He became a president. Paul George the other day, I don't know if you know Paul George, basketball player, says one of the sickest things the other day on his podcast. He does podcasts with a friend of mine's son, Dallas. Dallas is a freaking talent. I love Dallas. And he says, you know what it took me 10 years to realize? I can never win a championship as number one.
Who said that? Paul George?
Paul
said that?
George. Can you imagine one of the best players ever who has scored 50 points, God knows how many, averaging 28 points a game? You don't think you can win a championship as a number one? Do you know what level of maturity and wisdom it takes to say that? Who couldn't say it? Westbrook and others couldn't say it for the longest time.
That's that 30% selfless, right?
That's the part. So Durant even can't win as a number one. Durant didn't win as a number one, not at OKC, not at Nets. Now, they may say, well, he was number one. He was never number one at Golden State. He was freed by Steph Curry. But he's never won as a number one. Steph Curry is a number one. Draymond Green is a flag carrier.
I don't know if he was freed by that, though. Because he got a lot of hate for doing that.
Well, because he wanted to prove to the world that he was number one, and he hasn't proven yet that he can win without a Steph Curry.
Right.
He couldn't do it with Kyrie. Everybody's put a teamer on him. My point I'm trying to make to you is DeSantis has to ask himself, is he a flag carrier, president? You can still be a president, but Trump's an alpha. So he could have easily been the guy to helped Trump be a flag carrier, and then he could have ran 2028. He would have gotten MAGA. But because of the way he took his position, unfortunately, I don't think majority of MAGA is not going to forgive him. And they're going to remember that forever to come.
I wonder why he made that decision, because that would have been such a formidable duo. Trump DeSantis 2024.
Oh,
and
dude,
you think there's no chance that still happens?
Well, I asked him, I said, when's the last time you called Trump? I don't need to call him. I said, would you be willing to go have a meeting with Trump at Mar-a-Lago? I'm not going to fly out to him. I'll get on a call. Can't say stuff like that. You're not the alpha. You can't talk to an alpha like that. He's the alpha. You're not. So, who's the alpha in UFC? As a guy that runs the show.
Dana.
Dana's an alpha. By the way, is it even a question that he's an alpha? No. He's the guy. You don't tell, well, Dana better this. What are you talking about? You go build a company from $2 million into a $10 billion company with all the bullshit. Every time you're being criticized, taking shots, he's the alpha. He'll take the arrows. He'll go after media. He'll do all of that, right? So it's almost immature to think you're at that alpha's level. And the only reason somebody does this in life, we've all fallen for this. And it's so problematic when you fall for this spell. It's one of the worst spells you ever fall for. So, for example, somebody comes into you, You guys have a good relationship, let's just say. But somebody comes into you and says, you know what, man, he would have never made it without you. It's because of you. Forget about what everybody says. You're the guy that's doing it. And they flatter. And then all of a sudden, you guys get into a fight. He doesn't know why you're fighting because somebody whispered in your ear that you're more important than him. They made a division here. Why are they doing that? But it's been done for many times. It's not hard to do.
That happens all the time.
That happens all the time. But
With
you got to be
for sure.
You got to be. You've been around the block. You're everywhere. You've been getting views for a long time. Way before some of us got started, you were getting.
That's what happens in our group too. I know it happens. It's like if I'm out, everyone's gonna say, "Oh, Kyle, you're the funniest." Blah blah blah. If it's Steve, they're probably saying the same thing to him. Probably Steiny. Like, and then you start to hear all that shit, and it slowly creeps up on you. And you're right; it can create these little divides.
There's no question about it.
It's crazy how it works.
Happens in marriage. Happens in
that
relationship.
happens in everything. Every team.
Yeah.
Teams. Yeah.
But guess what, though? Amongst the three of you, one of you has to be the leader. It can't be a 33. One has to be the shot caller. This doesn't mean you have to agree 100%. Someone needs to be the shot caller. Someone, I believe, was in DeSantis' ear so much, saying you're better, so much feeding him that he fell for flattery, thinking he's the alpha. And I even asked him, I said, do you think, without Trump's 3 tweets, when you barely won the first time as a governor by 34,000 votes, do you think you would have won without the tweet? In his book, he says, Trump helped me win the governorship. In the interview, he says, no, I would have still won. Can't say that. You can't say that because it's not true. Like, in your career, who's giving you your biggest break?
I mean, Dana's definitely helped us a lot.
Imagine if you say, without Dana, we don't need Dana's help. What are you talking about? It's a little bit... there's words for it that can be used, and I think it's more than arrogant. It's ungrateful. It's unattractive, to not want to give that. So again, I don't know politics. The one thing about politics is this:
It's a little different though in that regard, right? Where he just doesn't want to look weak, and he thinks, I actually can't compete with this guy.
Yeah, I get that there's an element of that, but diplomacy requires you to. How are you going to get...
You don't see that often in politics where people give others credit that they're competing against, right?
But you do, though. When Reagan won presidency, the day he won, he's given his inauguration speech, and Khomeini throws all the prisoners of war back to Iran and back to U.S. and releases them. Reagan in his speech says, I want to thank President Carter for this because this is his doing, and he gave credit to that was around. That element works because, and why did Reagan do that? Because he needs Carter. Mm-hmm. He's going to need Carter to call and say, hey, man, what do you think about this guy when you were dealing with him?
Right.
Look what Kobe did. Kobe did it the right way. Kobe, everybody knew, wanted to kill Michael. But Kobe still had a relationship with Michael where he could call and have the conversations with him. There needs to be that diplomacy and credit being given because it's attractive. People like it. Yeah. What do parents want at the end of the day? What do parents want from us? What do we want from our kids? Just give me a little bit of credit.
Yeah.
Without my dad, without this, without that, they want a little bit of credit, right? That's all they're looking for. And if you do that, I think Trump would flip and come in. And by the way, I think Trump will forgive, even if DeSantis starts now. But I think DeSantis has to take the first step, not Trump.
Such a crazy thing. And then what do you think? Do you think that Biden's going to be the one to run, or do you think that Newsom's going to step in?
So here's the...
Because isn't he doing a one-on-one with DeSantis soon?
Yeah, he is. He's doing a one-on-one with DeSantis and right? Fox. Yeah,
that's going to be crazy.
That's going to be crazy. But again, you know who wins there? Who wins, DeSantis or Newsom? Who wins? Actually think about that.
I think Newsom wins.
I mean, I think you're saying Newsom, but I don't know.
No, but I'm not asking the question of who wins the debate.
Right, who gets the W for doing it.
Just the fact that one got the other one to do it, who won there in negotiation?
Yeah, probably Newsom for in the current state of things.
Why Newsom, though?
I mean, he gets that exposure that he couldn't really get.
Right, but why does Newsom get the credit instead of DeSantis? Actually think about it. You know what it's kind of like? What's your favorite sport? What sport do you guys like the most outside of UFC? What do you like the most? NFL?
Yeah.
Okay. Imagine you are the Eagles. Okay. You're in the playoffs. All right. Arizona Cardinals convince you to play a game with them while the playoffs are going on a Thursday night. What are you talking about? You're giving eyeballs to who? Arizona's not in the playoffs. Newsom's not in the playoffs. What are you doing this for? That's a massive victory for Newsom. not DeSantis. DeSantis should have done that a year ago, because a year ago, that was the time to do the debate, because everybody was talking about California and Florida. It was a phenomenal time to do it, and he wasn't running yet. So if he would have done that, then he would have beaten Newsom. Then he runs. People are like, yeah, this is great. Now you're only going to lose. There is no winning here because
But
Newsom's not a candidate.
Isn't he already going to lose? Like, he's technically going to lose the nominee right now too. So you could argue that this could be a big moment for him to say, listen, they're going to run Newsom. I just destroyed him in a debate.
Yeah.
It's
And
kind of like he's on his last legs, right?
so check this out. You guys, how do you judge when a YouTube channel is dying?
When it
Views.
doesn't views.
Okay. So how many guys do you know they're like, oh my God, look at that guy. Oh, 100,000 subs, 500,000 subs, million subs. So he goes to view 300,000, 300,000 views. Every 600,000, 600,000. So 1.2 million. Did you see 2.8 million? And then all of a sudden, 62,000 views, 32,000 views, 17,000 views, 13,000 views, 18,000 views, 19,000 views. You used to get a lot of eyeballs. What happened all of a sudden? People have checked out. So the way you judge it is, go look at DeSantis' last 10 interviews and what he has to say. Go look at RFK's last 10 interviews. Go look at Vivek's last 10 interviews. Go look at Newsom's last 10 interviews. You know who's the lowest out of the four? DeSantis is the lowest. Because he's repeating the same thing. So because he's repeating
He's
the
just
same
boring to watch too.
Yeah, boring to watch. It's like, I already know what you're going to say.
Yeah.
How many of these motivational YouTubers were saying the same thing they said 10 years ago? They're saying to them, the audience has grown up. And they're like, look, man, you don't want to talk politics? I like Nelk Boys. I like what these guys are. They're willing to, you guys will, you're mainstream. Your brand is mainstream, right? But at the same time, you don't give a shit. You'll have Tucker here.
Yeah, well,
You'll have
anyway.
But the point I'm trying to make to you is that shows what to your brand? Brass balls. And a market looks at it and says, I don't agree with this person they're having on. But what they have to agree with is what? Give you credit that you have brass. There are certain people, when you gauge those eyeballs, you know, he's just not getting those eyeballs. Thanks, brother. Sam, thank you. So that's the issue there. You know, in analytics nowadays, you guys are analytics. I'm sure everything's analytics.
Mm-hmm.
If you put all these guys at analytics and look at the last 100 clips and then choose the top 5 best clips on each, there's not much interest on what DeSantis has to say because it's been the same thing the last 100 times.
But you think Newsom steps in, or they
I
run
think
Biden?
Newsom is unpredictable. You know who we love to
I feel
follow?
like they have to run him.
But here's the
How
problem.
could
If
Biden
they-
possibly win?
Here's the only thing. If you can figure this thing out I'm about to give you, Newsom can run. You ready? This is the biggest problem Newsom has and the Democratic Party has for having Newsom run. If Newsom runs as a president, that means Kamala has to sit down. If Kamala has to sit down, now Republicans have an easy card to say, the group that talks about they're for women and they're for, African Americans and they're for this, they just asked the VP, who was the most formidable qualified candidate after the president to be the president, they asked her to sit down. And they call themselves Democrats. If Newsom ran as a president and they asked Kamala to sit down or go away, it is the easiest playbook for the right to keep playing. That debate's going to be nasty towards the Democratic Party. Nasty. So that's the biggest problem they're facing. They have to find and by the way, they're creative enough, well, they'll come with a way. It could be something that she has to come out. So the way this works out the right way is, we're having some personal challenges in my family with my kids. And although I love my country and this is, I will give anything to it, but I have to choose my family.
This is what Biden would say?
Now, that's what Kamala has to say. That's what Kamala, and I know you're thinking Biden's going to have health issues. With Biden, his wife's got to come out and say, look, I sat down and I had to talk to my husband, and as a wife and a doctor, our priority right now, I feel like my husband's done enough with this country, given 47 years of his life or whatever the amount of years is. It's time to be a grandfather. And as much as he wants to do it, we had a family meeting and we told him, no, honey, you can't run anymore. We'll fall for that. Like, we'll be like, oh, wow, what a noble.
Well, we all see it too. It actually is what should happen. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But now go find a way to spin it with Kamala. How do you spin it? Spin that one. That's a tough spin. Biden's spin is easy.
Yeah.
Kamala's spin? Yeah, it's scientific. I mean, you got to be like, and by the way, they're smart. They're creative enough and deceptive enough to figure out a way. But that's what they're probably working on right now because they know it's catastrophic. 5 out of 6 states that are the ones that are going to determine who's going to be a president, on all polls pretty much, is showing Trump ahead of Biden.
Yeah.
5 out of those 6 states. So the Dems are not going to sit there and take it. They got to do something. But I guarantee you, in their strategy meetings, they're figuring out a way to get Kamala to come out and step away. And I don't think she's going to do it.
Such a crazy time right now too with everything going on in the world. I feel like could be the last kind of chance for America. It seems like seems like it's slowly falling apart. You ever feel like that?
I do, but also at the same time, here's what's going on, which is wild. So 5 years ago, were you guys doing podcasts?
No.
When did you start doing podcasting?
I think like 2 years ago.
Okay. And how rapidly has the podcast climbed?
It climbed quick because we already had our mother channel, which was the lifestyle channel that we used to push the podcast. So pretty quick.
And a recognizable brand. We recognize you.
Right,
we know you, right? Because we've seen you so many times. 5 years ago, did you think you would have political people on your podcast?
Definitely. Not people that we've had, yeah.
So, but what flipped? Because it's a decision you made. What caused you to make that decision?
I think we've always like had those views and stuff, but honestly, just the opportunity.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Was there ever a conversation about the risk of doing so? Was there ever
Yeah, I think the first time we
with Trump.
linked with Trump, it was definitely like a little bit of backlash.
when they took it down 24 hours later, all of that? Or?
Yeah. Well, the first time we met him was we went on Air Force One with Dana. So that was the time, right before the election. That was the time. So we got a bit of backlash, but we just didn't really care. Like, we just kind of feel the way we feel.
Bingo.
And yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah.
That's the part. So the people who have the voice, who were worried about saying anything or taking positions, no longer give a shit, and now they're being vocal. That's a problem for the other side. Because now we're finding each other.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who are like us, you know what our way is? The DNA of people who are waking up and finding each other, we're typically a community of people that lift each other up. How you doing? You guys got this going on? Awesome. How can I support? Let's collaborate. Let's do this. Let's do that. We're doers. We'll go make the money. We're doing our part. But, for the longest time, the saying is what? Never talk politics, never talk religion, never talk this. And that's been fed over and over and over again. You never do that with your YouTube channel or podcast. Trust me, you're going to lose half the audience. Da, da, da. But no, I think the reason why I have a lot of hope for the future of America is because the right people are finding each other, and they're united, and they're setting aside ambitions, and they're saying, "Nah, man, listen, you're for freedom, I'm for freedom. Let's roll. Let's go. Good, let's roll." That's what's happening. Freedom fighters finding each other. Freedom fighters for the longest time, if there's not a reason to fight for freedom, guess what we do? We go have our babies. We go have our own ambitions. We go buy our farm. We go buy or whatever it was. For years, even we go do our thing. But if, God forbid, you screw around with that, then all of a sudden, you ever seen the movie Troy where, he's hooking up with a girl in a tent, and they come out and say, "Hey, Achilles, such and such happened." He looks at the girl and gets up and goes, does the fight, kills him. Thousands of Achilles have been woken up the last 6-7 years. And these are guys that are doing their thing, and you don't even know who they are. They're just kind of minding their own business. So my confidence comes from the fact that you don't wake up true believers, and they have. There are bullies that seem like they're the toughest people out there in the marketplace that intimidate people, but they're not. The toughest people are the people that are not afraid of facing bullies.
Right.
And the people that are not afraid of facing bullies are now waking up, coming together and saying, "You're not going to do this to America. You're just not going to do it." And by the way, 2024, I called 2023 in November of last year the year of investigations. I said, everyone's getting investigated. It's just going to be a shitty year in investigations. 2024, I'm calling the year of chaos. It's going to be the most chaotic year of our lifetime. Super chaotic. Are you seeing what's going on in DSC yesterday? The cops and all that stuff. And,
Oh, my God. Was that with the senator?
It was.
There was almost a fight in the Senate here.
Yeah, of course.
Hell? I couldn't even believe that was real.
The protesting, the riots outside about Palestine. Did you guys see that? What happened yesterday? At the DNC headquarters. Okay. So Israel, Palestine, Hamas. Biden can't lower the temperature with that.
Yeah. Is that not crazy to you that that's happening in this country, like harder than it is anywhere else?
I think it's happening everywhere. It's happening
But I mean,
in Europe.
you see it. Maybe it's just because of what I see on like my phone and on socials, but it's
No, those are going on everywhere around the world.
No, I get that, but they're pretty powerful here, which is a little bizarre.
So maybe what you're saying is, they are going everywhere, but
And it's
in
not
America, it's never
controlled.
been this bad. And it's okay. So why though? Why? Were you raised with a strong father, or was he pretty chill?
Pretty strong.
Pretty strong. How was your pops?
In the middle.
In the middle?
Yeah.
Could you get away with shit, or
No,
would he
if I
put his
did
foot
something
down?
fucked, that's
Okay.
when he would be.
So,
He'd fucking kill me.
but what happened when our father was away? What did we feel like we could do?
Anything.
So my parents got a divorce twice, right? When they got a divorce when I was 10 years old, and that's the last time they were together, my mom one day, we're in the living room, she hits me because I came late or something, and her hand hurts. 14 or something, Mom, what are you doing? But in that moment, my mom could no longer tell me what to do. I'd come home at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. What are you going to tell me? You can't tell me anything, because it wasn't somebody I feared, right? Just like a boy needs love, fear, and respect. They need somebody to love, somebody to fear, somebody to respect. Typically, love comes mom, fear and respect comes with dad. And if you can love, you feel love from that, even better, right? But we need somebody to fear and respect, okay? As much as we need somebody to fear and respect, in order for a company, a country, a city, mayor, governor, state, president, country, that leader needs to impose fear and respect into everybody.
Yeah.
Which of those two does Biden impose? Fear or respect?
Neither.
Exactly. So guess what happens when you can't impose fear and respect? Bullies wake up, tyrants wake up, and they're able to take advantage of you. Nobody fears or respects America today. Nobody even likes us today.
Yeah.
By the way, likability is the last one. If you can't get a president like a Reagan was a trifecta, Reagan was all three. They liked him, they feared him, and they respected him. You wanted to have dinner with him, but you don't want to cross him, but you respected him as a man as well. This guy's somebody, right? We don't have any of those three today, okay? And some would say with Trump, well, you didn't have likability with Trump, but you had fear and respect. Say what you want. You better fear and respect the guy. Mm-hmm. Hey, you want to do something? Hassan Soleimani, boom. The guy that was a leader of 6 proxy militaries, he called himself the most powerful general in the Middle East. He kills him. And then it's like, do something. And Iran retaliates and bombs a building in a military base that they knew was empty just to say, we retaliated. No, he didn't. Why not? Because the guy is crazy enough to do something to you if you even touch him. We need to hurry up with this next election and get somebody that's feared and respected, or else shit show is going to get even worse. And I think 2024 is going to be really the year where America needs to go back to being feared and respected. That's why it's a very important election. But it's going to be chaotic.
Scary time around the world. I mean, you got the Ukraine-Russia war, and now with the tension now in the Israel-Palestine thing, it's just taken. It seems like there's different sides forming and different regions of war going on now, right?
Yeah.
Like there's multiple.
I think this is the first time
battlefields.
that I've noticed that people are actually starting to change their political opinion. Like, I've noticed a lot more people are starting to go more right just because this shit's getting so out of hand that I've never seen anything like that, like, as I've grown up.
I think even the companies are learning where the money's at too. I mean, you saw the whole Bud Light thing too, right? I think the companies are now seeing like, oh, you know what? We can't go this left or we're going to start losing money. I think the Bud Light thing was the first example of that. And now even YouTube, we used to deal with more censorship on YouTube 3 years ago than we do now. I mean, you couldn't even make a trans joke 3 years ago. You would get.
No, you're right.
I knew, because I know we've been doing the shit.
Yeah.
You could not do anything trans related, nothing. You can't even touch it, talk about it. Now, like, you can pretty much do whatever you want.
Yeah.
So I even know YouTube is actually becoming more lenient because they're seeing what happened with X and stuff, and they're saying, you know what, we can't go this far left, or we're going to lose money.
So you said something very important, though. Why did that happen, though? YouTube came up with a email to users saying, hey, we typically would have taken down questions about the election integrity, but moving forward, we're leaving those videos up.
That's
what?
That's why we got our first Trump interview deleted.
Because
It was only because of that. It was because of election fraud.
So-
talk. And now they reversed that. You're allowed to question the election now.
So think about that. So you may have been one of the reasons why they did that, because that interview goes up like, why are you taking it down? Why are you taking it down? 6 million views and whatever hours you guys got and all this stuff. It's like, why are you taking that part down? But, this is what prevails, though. Common sense eventually prevails, and bad ideas get exposed. 100%. The other day, this guy named Professor Scott Galloway, I don't know if you know who he is or not. He's like a god in NYU, professor, liberal side. He had a CNN Plus, gave him $1 million to do a show. Obviously, CNN Plus went out of business. But he's on Bill Maher. And he's there with Andrew Cuomo. And Scott is saying, well, look, yes, we made a mistake with the vaccine and the shutdowns. But this is the time for people to show grace. And we need grace. And grace. He kept using the word grace. I'm sorry. Where was your grace when people disagreed with you? Where was your grace when Elon Musk was buying 9.6% of Twitter and he says he's lying? He's full of shit. He's got all of you guys fooled. He doesn't want to buy it. He's just playing games with all of you guys. Elon makes an offer to buy the entire company. Watch him bail out. He's not going to buy it. Watch, he's going to use this as an excuse to not buy it. He doesn't have the balls to buy it. What does Elon do? He buys it. After he buys it, what does Galloway do? Keep trashing him over and over and over and over again. Where was your grace, guy? So there's an element where their ideas got exposed to say stay home. The same guys that were forced shutting down and having everybody stay home with their kids is the same attorney, surgeon general that comes out and says, there's this thing called a loneliness epidemic. You're the reason why there's a loneliness epidemic. You're the reason why kids were staying home. You're the reason why people couldn't go see people in states like California and New York. You're the reason why this happened. And now they're getting exposed. So then what happens after somebody's getting exposed? It's accountability. The accountability part has to happen. If the accountability part doesn't happen, you know, in China, the first thing they had to figure out for capitalism to work, what can capitalism not work without? What do you need for capitalism to work? You need what? Think about it. People say, well, you need money. Well, you need this. Forget about the money and the ideas and the entrepreneur and all that stuff. What do you need for capitalism for you to feel protected that if you go build a business, somebody can't bully you and take shit away from you? What do you need? You need laws. So 40 years ago, China had some 4 law schools. Nobody followed the laws. A corrupt country cannot have capitalism because somebody can come in and say, give me your business, moving forward, this is mine, get out of here. Give me 20% every month because there's no laws, right? Okay. The reason why our system has worked is because we have laws. However, if nobody's held accountable for all the shit they did during COVID, people are not going to trust the system. So there needs to be an element of accountability taking place while we're going through this next phase. But it's going to be interesting. I think Elon did a very good thing buying Twitter, X. If he wouldn't have done that, this would have been a very different climate. All the people that are very confident posting stuff on Twitter, you wouldn't be able to do that a year and a half ago. There's no way. Now they can't. So Elon was the first tipping point. I think what Chris is doing with Rumble is very important. They're playing a very important role because there's competition. And at the same time, the country and the world is starting to realize you guys had some shitty ideas. And now even people from the left are starting to say, maybe there was voter fraud. Maybe you guys did some stuff like this. Maybe you did. They're questioning it. Questioning it? 2 years ago, God forbid you questioned it now. So hypocrisy is being exposed. There needs to come with some level of accountability. Fauci's been very quiet after being considered the sexiest man alive by Guardian. You know, he needs to be held accountable for what he did to make sure the next time we're going to have another epidemic and pandemic, guys. It's going to happen in our lifetime. It'll happen. Whether your age starts with a 5 or a 6 or a 7, when it happens, it's going to happen. We do not want the same behavior to happen, so there needs to be accountability for that to improve. But yeah, social is very different. The fact that we can talk right now and this can get distributed to millions of people and hear these ideas and then they go home and talk to their mom and dad and cousins and friends about
crazy,
it.
Right?
That's what's awesome about it. Because if we didn't have this, we'd be getting bullied by mainstream media on a daily basis.
All right, boys, we're going to interrupt the pod for a second. We're moving to Miami. I'm throwing out a lot of shit. One thing I'm absolutely not throwing out is my fucking Manscaped bag, boys. I don't advertise anything on this podcast that I don't actually use, and I actually genuinely fuck with Manscaped. This is the best razor I've ever fucking used for the fucking bush and for the fucking face. I don't know if you're supposed to use it for both, but I do. At the same time too, I don't give a shit. This razor looks like Elon Musk made it. It's like a Tesla razor. It's fucking incredible. You gotta try it. What I love about Manscaped is it's a one-stop shop, boys, all right? So you don't gotta go around to different stores or different websites to buy all this stuff. Manscaped has everything you need to just stay fresh in general from head to toe. They got fucking ball deodorant, they got fucking razors, everything just to stay fresh. Go to manscaped.com. We got you boys on a code. Code NELK is going to get you 20% off the entire site plus free shipping. which is a fucking steal, boys. So take advantage of that code NELK, 20% off plus free shipping. Boys, come on, the holidays are coming up. We gotta get some Christmas kills. We gotta stay fresh. You can't be rocking full bush anymore. You could have a little mullet going down there, or a little trim, but you can't have full bush. Take it from me, birds don't like it. So go to manscaped.com, use code NELK, 20% off the entire site, free shipping. I fucking love Manscaped. I fucking love this razor. Let's get back on the pod.
Another kind of uncensored platform, Daily Wire. Do you see the beef between Shapiro and Owens?
What's going on there?
I haven't seen that.
He called her disgraceful, and
I guess Candace Owens is being like a little anti-Israel, and obviously Ben Shapiro's been on a tear, like going to universities right now, just having open debates with people. So they actually got into it on Twitter.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
Yeah, and they both work for the Daily Wire. Ben Shapiro said,
Isn't Shapiro technically her boss?
I mean, I think he's an owner of the company, but like, I don't know if he's her boss, but yeah, he basically said she made like a cryptic tweet that was like kind of going at him, saying you can't serve money and God at the same time. And then he replied and said, like, if you think that you're serving money here, like, you can quit. So it's like
civil war at Daily Wire. It's the best way to put it.
It's two like heavyweights going at it, though.
But let me ask you, whose fault is that? Like, there has to be the first chip that falls. What's the first domino?
Probably Candace, like, backing Kanye a little bit, probably.
Okay, so when you bring somebody like Candace to your platform, has she shown a track record of agreeing 100% with everybody?
Definitely not.
So why are you surprised?
Yeah.
You shouldn't be surprised, right? When you bring somebody like that in. Like, if you bring Draymond Green to your team, is he all of a sudden going to be, oh yeah, absolutely, I'm not going to, chokehold Rudy Gobert for freaking 10 seconds and get a 5-game fine and get suspended? Yeah, you're going to expect something like that to happen. Dennis Rodman can go from any team to any team. He's bringing his reputation with him, whatever that reputation is. Candace is bringing a reputation to Daily Wire. I think they got to keep it private when you're going through stuff like that. And it's not a good look for the brand. I'm sure they'll figure it out, because I think inside they have enough people that are reasonable people that can make them sit down and have a conversation with each other. Knowles and Walsh and Jeremy and Peterson, they can have a meeting. They need to have an emergency meeting to bring everybody together. Jeremy's shooting a movie right now, I think in Holland or wherever he's at. They got to do an emergency Zoom, which if they haven't already done it. She was on Tucker yesterday. I don't know if you saw that.
It came out?
It came out already.
Oh, okay.
Tucker's first question was, what happened with you and Ben? He called you disgrace. Is he your boss? He asked her the question yesterday. And it was the first interview she did after the backlash. And she's sitting there pregnant doing the interview with Tucker. So, yeah, I think...
And
what was the response to that?
She said, well, listen, he's not the boss. The boss is somebody else that I actually get along with. And it's not even Jeremy right now, because Jeremy's shooting a movie. I don't know if she said that or not, but it's the fact that Jeremy's not the boss. But he is one of the owners, and he's one of the OG founders of the brand. And I don't work for Ben. And we can't have disagreements and ideas. We always had. And she said, in the last 5 years, anything I've ever said, Ben has pretty much been on the opposite side. Vaccine, he was pro, she was against, all this stuff. So she's kind of talking about that. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if long term.
Which is fine. They're allowed to disagree.
There's nothing wrong with that.
It's just interesting because, yeah, I guess you don't like when Republicans, quote unquote, disagree. But they're allowed to disagree on
yeah, but
shit.
there's one thing here. So what is the one thing that Ben is saying, I'm not compromising?
Oh, he's not compromising on Israel.
Exactly.
No way.
That's the only thing.
Yeah.
He's okay with everything.
Yeah.
But Ben is like, no. And by the way, a part of it, you have to respect Ben, that at least he has that core of a belief about Israel, which means he's 100% true, because he's hurting his business. This is not a good business move for you to do something like this, right? A part of it is, this is where I stand, but it's not a good business move what he's doing. It's a good move with Israel and the Jewish community, because they're not sitting there saying, wow, okay, so we know where you stand with this, but it's not good for the brand to show that kind of division, because then it means I can't come to your brand and have an opposing idea, because if I do and say this, this is the part that I'm going to get in trouble. So what if I want to call out a position with Netanyahu? I can't be part of your organization. And that may very well be the case, because it could happen to many different media companies. But yeah, it was not a pretty day yesterday for Daily Wire. These guys going back and forth.
It's crazy. That might be the most divisive thing to like talk about, even like more than like left and right times like 1,000. Like,
Why
it's
do you
just-
think that is? Why do you think that
I don't
gets
know,
so
and I'm just not
because it's so
I'm
sensitive.
Not, it's
So
Why
so
do you think, though?
sensitive, but
Because I think because the way that people are dying, children are dying, so I think that, and there's been so much animosity between both sides for so long.
it's been going on for thousands of years.
But this
right?
is, but this is the first time it's been, everybody has seen it all over social media. Like, not everyone has had this exposure to it, from my knowledge. Would you agree there?
You're right. And some videos are resurfacing from 20, 30 years ago of comments that were made, and people are getting educated, and it's uncomfortable. You know, it's interesting. I was talking to when we first started the podcast, I was talking about the Shah's son, Crown Prince, and his father on October 24th of 1976 is interviewing with Mike Wallace from 60 Minutes. So think about the date. October 24th, 1976, okay? He's interviewing with Mike Wallace, and in the interview, guess who he calls out? The entire Jewish community. So he says, what are you saying? He says, well, to be honest with you, the Jewish community has way too much power. He says, what are you saying, Your Majesty? He says, finance, banking, media, newspapers. He says, like who? New York Times? Yes. Washington Post? Yes. The media? Less. This? And then he stops. He says, I don't want to go anymore. I want to pause right there. He called out how much power they have. What happened to him 2 years later? He was kicked out. So there is a lot of power that the Jewish community has, and that's clear. By the way, this whole thing that the other side uses, they use the word cleansing, right? Look what Israel is doing. They're cleansing. The Muslim population has doubled in the last, 15 years, 20 years. A couple billion people worldwide. You know how many Jews there is worldwide? 15 million.
Yeah.
15 million. So if you kill 1,000 Jews, that's the comparable of killing, let's do the math. 15 million, 150. That's the equivalent of killing 7. You see how I did the math when I'm going 15 million to 2 billion?
Yeah.
Of course, any life as someone's kid is too many, and then Musk said something very powerful on Rogan when he said, every Palestinian child you kill, you're increasing one member of the Hamas population.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. And what a great point, because that level of animosity, kid's going to grow up seeking vengeance for the rest of his life. Rest of his life. He's not going to, forget about that. Look at RFK. He has his dad's name. What happened to his dad? His dad got assassinated. Robert Kennedy Jr., Robert Kennedy, gets assassinated. He goes 14 years addicted to drugs. Okay. His uncle gets assassinated, John F. Kennedy. His dad's supposed to be the president. And now he's running at 70 years old, where he's at today. You don't think that's been something on his mind for all these years? You don't think he's seeking his own kind of a return to come back and prove a point? And find out what they did to his family, try to destroy and tarnish the Kennedy last name and the family? That's an example in America. Imagine what they're going to do to all these Hamas and Palestinians and them. So, unfortunately, Netanyahu may want to cement his legacy as, look what I did. I'm the one that went and got rid of them and this, that. Great. But what you did do or could possibly do is continue many wars that will happen after you're no longer the prime minister or the president.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. So, and this is, again, and I know this kind of sounds weird. Do you know what happened when the Shah was running Iran back in the 70s? There was no war in the Middle East. Everybody was making it work because there was relationship. It was peace. There's a business model as well for chaotic Middle East. The more chaotic Middle East is, the more they can be controlled and the more money you can make for different industries, weapons of mass destruction, all this other stuff, the military industrial complex. So, the people of power behind closed doors, there's some that are sitting there saying, oh, we got to work. The market's about to go up. And look what happened to the market last couple weeks.
It's up. High.
Look what happened yesterday, up 550.
Yeah.
So it's actually a very strange business model.
That's fuck.
So what do you think's like the solution then? Or how do you think this will all end? Or it's going to go on for years?
Well, the challenge
It
is...
seems like the war's never going to end.
No.
No, that's never going to end because they have differences. I mean, look, not to have fun with this or, turn it into a joke. Have you seen Adam Sandler's movie where he's the hairdresser?
Don't mess with the Zohan, of
The
course.
Zohan, right? And
Yeah.
he falls in love with a Palestinian girl and he's Jewish. I don't know if you've seen the movie or not. The other day, my kids wanted to watch it because they're going through all of Adam Sandler's movies. They love Adam Sandler. My wife's favorite comedian is him. And we watch it. We're like, wow, everything about that movie is today. And Ali G, you guys know Sacha Baron Cohen, the freaking the guy, right? That's my guy. So when he would do, what's the one he says? So why is it that the people you target are the euthanasia? He said, no, euthanasia is, he said, why is it the euthanasia? He said, no, it's something you do. It's called euthanasia. Anyways, he has these two leaders from Israel and Palestine. And he's talking to
That's
them.
when he was Bruno, right?
That's when he was Bruno. He says, so why is it that, you guys, is the number one reason why you guys have a problem with Hamas because the pita bread gets in the way?
Yeah.
And he says, no, you're confusing the difference between hummus and Hamas. He says, so what's the difference? He says, we both like hummus. And then Bruno says, so at least you guys agree on something. You both like, so someone's got to come in to try to figure out a way to, bring them together. Trump was going in that direction when they moved the embassy from Tel Aviv to Israel, Abraham's Accord. There was some progress being made, but at least there wasn't somebody capitalizing off of it.
Bruno might have made the most progress so far.
Bruno
right?
might have made the most progress.
I mean, that clip is
That
hilarious,
guy
by the
is
way.
So I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. You guys have friends that can keep a straight face for a long time. Like, you did one of my favorite skits that you did is freaking funny as hell. What did you do? You went to the house and he said, why do you have Biden? Why do you have Trump stuff here? I'm offended. Which one was it that you
Putting
did?
the Trump,
Pumpkins.
putting the
Trump-
Biden signs on
and
Trump's
your
lawn.
face, you kept it right. Some people have that gift that they can keep it. I have a guy, one of my guys, Mario, right-hand guys, he can keep us. One time we're going on a flight, and it's one of those flights where you go down, and if you go left, it's going Bakersfield. If you go right, it's going Phoenix. But you're not going straight into the tarmac. You're going on the tarmac, you're walking, right? So we get on the plane, and I said, Mario, let's play a prank on this lady sitting next to us with two kids. So our flight is going to Arizona, but the other one's going to Bakersfield. They close the door. We're about to take off. I said, so what time's our meeting today in Arizona? I'm sorry, the other one's going to Bakersfield. She's on the flight thinking it's going to Arizona, but that one's going to Bakersfield. I said, what time's our meeting tonight in Bakersfield? She's looking at us. I said, what do you mean? Excuse me, we're talking. We have a meeting to Bakersfield. There's a schedule, 6 o'clock. Where's this flight going? Bakersfield. We're going to Bakersfield. And Mario he starts talking to her for like 2 minutes. She's like, this is going to Bakersfield. I can't get on this flight. I'm trying to go to Arizona. She calls the flight attendant, comes in, ma'am, you got to stop the plane. I can't go to Bakersfield. I have a wedding to go. I have this place to go to. But Mario stays like this, right? And he kept a straight face. And then eventually Mario, the lady's like, they're playing with you. She gets all upset. I can't hold my fist. I got to look this way. I'm part of this community. Sacha Baron Cohen, bro.
Yeah.
What the hell is that all about?
He's
Even Will
incredible.
Ferrell. You seen the one with Will Ferrell where he says, the plums, right? He says, let the boy watch. You ever seen that one when I don't even think Will Ferrell is at Sasha's level.
No, Sasha's the GOAT.
He
Even
is
when
the
he was
GOAT.
Ali G, he was the people that he's been able to get in the same room with as when he's trolling them. Like he's the
that's
OG
crazy.
troll.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Have you guys done anything with him or no?
No, that'd be insane.
crazy.
I think you guys that would be hilarious.
We should try.
You should, yeah. That would be funny as hell.
I want to ask you, this is kind of off topic, but you always talk about, like I saw clips on TikTok today about how if your kid wants a video game, you make him read 10 books to get the video game. This is like a true thing. You raise your kids a certain type of way. Do you think that that's not happening enough? Like that same, you got to study, you got to go in school, you got to focus.
Here's a problem with standards. This is the problem with standards. The later you set standards, the less people are going to follow it. The sooner you set standards and you keep it, the more it's normal. You know, my son, his week is insane. Starts early, it ends late. He's swimming for an hour, then he goes to soccer, then he goes to jiu-jitsu, then he goes to baseball batting cages, and he's working on that. That's a schedule every day, right?
4 sports in one day?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Holy shit.
You think
gotta
that's too much for him, or are you trying to like...
Well, it's not about it's too much for him. It's normal for him. By the way, we're very capable human beings. Sometimes we underestimate how capable kids are. One day I'm in Panama, and I see a 4-year-old kid with a 2-year-old, if that, pushing the kid in a cart, shopping cart by himself. And I'm looking around looking for parents. Nobody's around. What the hell is this 4-year-old doing taking care of a 2-year-old baby? Natural instincts we got from very early on, but if we don't use them, you don't put them to work.
Right.
It's a waste of a talent and a God-given ability. So to us, we think too little of our kids. We see them as too soft. We don't see them as capable. We're like, okay, poor kid, poor this. This is not a poor kid. Stop calling your kids a poor kid. He's not poor. He's okay. So you set the tone and standards, and Dylan comes and says, Dad, my friends, I tell them what my day looks like. Do all kids have schedules like this? I said, every kid has a schedule like this. So I'm telling you, I'm talking to my friends. Their schedule's not mine. I said, that's the schedule of the Bet David family. That's what you're going to be doing, okay? So now last night, what is he doing at 9:30? For an hour straight, he's got weights on his feet. I'm not telling him, I'm like, sit down. He's like going like da. And he's running around soccer, doing it in the back. In the club room that we have in our theater room. So Dylan, sit down. No, I got to be ready. Dylan, grab a seat. You're sweating. You got to go shower again. No, Daddy, we're going to win. I'm like, now it's like it's his wiring, okay, on what he wants to do. But no, with us, I grew up in an environment where I never was expected to do anything. First time I ever read a book, I was 21 years old, cover to cover. Why though? Standards. And then I get checked by my first sergeant in the Army, Drill Sergeant Green, who expects standards like this from me. And then all of a sudden, I'm pissed as an 18-year-old, kid. And I'm like, and then boom, he sets me straight and these three other tough guys. And also we're like this. And I start doing stuff I didn't think I was capable of doing, going on 4 hours of sleep for 6 months straight. I'm like, so the body's capable of this? Damn. No wonder some countries are able to get better soldiers, and our soldiers in America, we're worried about us spending tens of millions of dollars on them transitioning. And you think the enemy's going to be like, oh, there's a transgender there. Guys, we can't kill him. Yeah. God forbid, because it's not a proper thing to do. You think the enemy thinks like that? No. The problem with America today, which we're going to pay, if you want to know really what price we are going to pay for, is our low standards with our kids.
Yeah.
Super low standards. Military, low standards. Schools, low standards. Parents, low standards. And just like Dana said, he told one of his kids, he says, look, in a time like this.
Yeah, it's a clip I'm thinking of right now.
Yeah.
The next generation is a bunch of, yeah.
But he said, if you are at all a killer, you're going to freaking win at a high level, right? You're going to freaking dominate the marketplace. And he's right. It's the ultimate season for people to have higher standards. You yourself are going to be surprised at what levels you're going to win. Because we're in a very, very low standard economy today.
Well, why do you think it seems like people just don't have faith in themselves. They don't think they can accomplish certain things. Like,
I think the parenting's a big thing too, and the parents are
like
getting pressure from society, from media to kind of be a bit softer and stuff, right? I think as opposed to other countries. You see what they do in China with like the AI checks on the students.
Yeah.
It's like they're like breeding like a next generation.
So imagine you're looking at your enemy doing that. What do you think about it? And then you look at your kids in America. You're like, yeah, I think in 20 years we're in trouble. That's what we are. Okay. No, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. No, you can't talk to kids like that. What are you talking about? Like, in the military, one of the things about the military, if you couldn't mentally take it, forget about physical, what they did to you. Mentally is what the game was. Hey, you know what happened last night? What happened last night, Drew? What's your girlfriend's name? Mary. What's your best friend's name? Joey. They were together last night, and she was screaming his name. And you watch guys break down crying and get out of the Army.
Are they fucking with them or are they being serious?
Constantly fucking with them, of course.
They're messing around?
Of course.
Damn. Just to what? Test their mental
toughness?
Just
to see if you can stay. Just to see if you can stay. By the way, go in the NBA. And you ask about guys like Larry Bird or Michael or something, Peyton, how these guys talk smack. Some guys can take it, right?
Yeah.
So now, well, Pat, what do you say? Are you supporting bullying? And I'm not telling you that, but I'm telling you a little bit of being pushed around and getting your ass kicked is good for you. You need that. We don't have any of it right now.
Yeah.
It's like, God forbid you do. God forbid you challenge some kid. God forbid you expect them to do something. No. So yeah, and by the way, here's the thing. People will be critical and they'll say, but Pat, I think you're being too tough and this and this and that. Come see how my kids are with me. Come see where they wanted to be yesterday. Florida yesterday, we had a little bit of a weather challenge here. So the school was off yesterday because of flooding, right? Guess where my kids wanted to be yesterday? At the office with me. So what do they like about being at the office? Why do they want to be at the office? Are they that miserable? Or do they like it? What you'll end up realizing is they want the standards. They want the high expectation. It's a form of showing love to somebody. When a parent doesn't give a shit what you're doing, the kid interprets as that maybe he doesn't love me. Maybe he doesn't, then I'm going to go do whatever I want. If somebody's like boom, 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 and is able to show love, wow, this guy cares about me that much that is expecting this standard from me, it's pretty powerful. We need that. Everybody needs and should want a person of high standards in their life. Everybody. It's such a beneficial X factor to those that win at a high level.
Yeah, you seem like a dope dad. Your kids are lucky.
I don't know,
probably.
but your kid, yeah, until your kid comes home with like a D on his report card.
He did. My kid has a
what did that look like?
It's very easy. It's actually a very easy conversation.
Ankle weights for 2 weeks straight.
Any reason why your kids come to school with ankle weights? No, it's actually not like that. So one of my kids had an F last year and had an F this year. Very simple. You get no iPad if you have anything below B on your report card. It's not an argument. It's not a fight. And you got an F? No problem. Just you don't get iPad and you don't get to pick movies. Nothing. But Dad, I want to play iPad. Totally get it, bro. Don't worry. One time my oldest son thought this standard was going to go away. And he's the guy that likes video games the most. And guess what happened? 3.5 months, and this was October, November, December, mid-January. He didn't play a single iPad or video game. That's Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas.
Wow.
Can you imagine everybody Christmas, we're all together in Aspen. Everybody's together Thanksgiving, wherever we are.
Yeah.
And you're the only one that's not playing video games on iPad. And everybody asks, how come you're not playing video games on iPad? Because I got a C. I got a D. No problem.
Has it improved since then?
Of course it's improved. Oh, yeah, he's got A's and B's now. Yeah, of course. If you want it, you'll improve. And if you don't want it, guess what I'll say to him? I guess you don't like video games that much. I thought you liked video games. I do like video games. Well, dude, you've had a C for 2 months now. So if you really like video games, you would improve. Totally fine. My style of leading, it's your choice. I set the standard, then it's up to you to choose whatever you want to do. But this is my standard. I don't want to read books. You don't have to read any books, but you also don't get to get XYZ. The standards matches incentives. If you find those two together, but by the way, the same goes with America. Look how many single mothers we have having kids today. In 1940, it was 4%. In 1940, 96% of kids that were born, they had a mom and a dad married. Think about that stat. In 1940, 96% of any kid that was born to a mom and a dad married.
Wow, that's
96.
crazy.
96%.
I don't even want to know what is it now.
Only 4% in 1940.
You know what it is now, right?
40%
Holy
are born to a single mom today. 40%. It went from 4 to 40%. This is a stat from the government. I'm not giving you anything that's
That can't be factual.
actually verified right now. I'm going to text it to you right now. Okay.
That's crazy.
When you see this, 4% to 40%. Okay. So now, once I show it to you and you see the numbers are right from the government, here's the question. What's the next question you and I want to ask when you hear a number like that?
Why?
Why? Okay. So what caused it? Okay. So do you know when was the first time the welfare system started? Where we started giving money out to people?
Like what year?
Social Security started under which president? Do you guys know?
No.
FDR. Okay. So he started kind of doing the Social Security and all this other stuff that's going on. So, okay, this is how we're going to get rid of poverty in America. Cool. Incentives to single mothers, send them money, they need help, no problem. 1965, LBJ, Lyndon Johnson, increases the welfare benefits to a whole different level, incentivizing mothers who have kids, we're going to give them money, okay? When you see 1965 on the number of percentage of single mothers, then all of a sudden it goes like this, and it climbs all the way up to 40%. So 1965, they create the incentives for single mothers to have more kids. So imagine every time you're having a kid, $500, you got 9 kids, $4,500 the government's paying you. And then If you do get married, the incentives go away. So why would you get married?
Yeah.
So you find somebody like, I want to get married to this. I'm not getting married to you. Why? I'm going to lose these benefits from the government that's being sent to me on a monthly
So what,
basis.
you attribute that to welfare? The number change?
Incentives
no marriage.
dictate what we do. When your incentives change, bad behavior or good behavior shows up. If you incentivize, let's just say
I feel like people are just being a little more
Yeah.
sexually free.
Do you think
than
people- it's more of a-
there is
incentives,
no people
think
are
it's a
people had
careless
way
thing?
more sex back then than today. You
So-
think people are having more sex today? There's
I think you think,
stats proves people were having more sex back then than today. Hippies?
but with like random people, like
Oh.
one night stands, like girls.
Oh, sex. Stats show we are having the fewest sex we've ever had.
I don't know I don't know who you're looking at there.
Well,
but
definitely
no-
not you guys.
no
I'm
one
not
over here.
talking about you, but do you know the level of the percentage for men under the age of 30 as virgins is the highest it's ever been?
No way.
Bro,
Do you know that's that percent?
Yeah, I'll give again another one. I'll show you.
Oh,
These
wait,
are
wait.
things that we.
This is what percent of 30-year-olds are virgins? That's the stat we're looking up?
I will give you both of them right now.
Okay.
I'm going to call Sam. Yeah, you guys. By the way, I'm sure your audience doesn't struggle with this.
Why do you think that's so high?
Virgins,
Yeah.
because of this, they're having sex with the phone.
Yeah. porn.
Why would I need to be worried about having sex with the best porn today? You got access to so many different porn, OnlyFans. There's so many things I can do today.
What's the craziest stat you
Dude,
have?
you see some of
that
these
one's
numbers.
pretty interesting, but do you have any like just crazy percent of something
I mean, those
bizarre?
are crazy.
Well, I mean, those alone are.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them. The more you get into it, with numbers and stats, it depends on what topic you want to get into. Topics vary, but you're talking with kids. You know, low standards today. Incentives determine what we do and our behaviors. All right, so here we go. Brandon sent one of the charts. That's from the U.S. Census Bureau, 4% to now 40%.
That's fucking insane.
That's insane. That's the census
Growth
giving
of
you that
unwed
stat.
childbearing. Oh, so unwed.
Unwed. So you're a single mother. You're not married. You're having these kids.
So people are also getting married less.
People are also
how-
getting
how
married
down
less.
is that?
How what?
How
Probably the
down is the
same thing.
marriage rate? It's gotta be the lowest ever been.
People are not getting. I mean, look, men are afraid of getting married for different reason, right? So why are men not
How
wanting
long
to get
you
married?
been married?
I've been married now 14. June 26th became 14 years.
Wow.
So we take it 1 year at a time. By the way.
Yeah.
So one thing about marriage.
What would you recommend marriage to us? Steiny texted me this morning and said, "Hey, bro, I think we got to get girlfriends."
Well,
Just randomly.
I
out
did
of the
say
blue.
that. That's actually true.
But I'll tell you this, bro. What do you guys want to do? Meaning, do you want a family? Do you want kids? Are you still in the phase of you're running, you're having a good time? How old are you?
29.
How old are you?
Same age.
Okay, I mean, listen,
When did you get married at? What
I
age?
got married at 30. Is when I got married. But I had a lot of fun. In Army, it's mayhem. You know, people think in Army we just work hard, man.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
put the
I've heard-
uniform on, go on, and see what happens. It's just a very weird dynamic, you know, when you're in the Army in different places. So we had a lot of fun, and I used to go to Vegas every other weekend, and when I was living in LA, so we had our fun. But if you're not done, don't do it yet.
Yeah.
If you're not done. But I will tell you, man, there's a lot of different highs in life. There's a high when you have money in the bank. There's a high when you buy your dream house. There's a high when you're being recognized. There's a high when you get love from your family. There's, high. There's all these different highs. There's nothing like a high with kids, man. That high with kids is a complete different story. Complete different story, the high with kids. So I highly recommend it. And I don't recommend it having it without a steady husband and wife, father and mother being in the house together. But I would highly recommend getting married.
I thought you were gonna say I wouldn't recommend it without getting a prenup.
Oh,
Like-
there's no way I'm doing it without a prenup. Anybody who tells you don't do it, get married without a prenup is a fool.
Is that like kind of like a
That's a
bait?
tough negotiation
but I
with the
think-
wife, though,
There's
no?
no way. No. no.
What's your go-to?
But don't
for
they
that?
say, like, obviously the wife says, like, well, what do you mean? You think we're going to get divorced?
not how
Someone
this
told me
works.
this. Someone said, you ask him, do you love me for me or do you love me for my money?
No problem. Go ahead and you want to role play? You want to role play all these objections? We
Sure.
can do that. Go ahead. Be the wife. Be the girl.
Why am I you're the girl.
Do you know
don't
the
know the
script?
answers,
If you know
though.
the script, I'll be
Okay,
the
I
girl.
don't know the
Go
script.
for it.
Okay, I
I'll
don't
be the
know the
girl.
script.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Steiny's not
I'll be
getting
the girl.
Steiny's not getting a prenup for sure.
So here we go. I'll be the girl.
You're gonna
Okay?
tell the girl, like, yo, I won't make you get a prenup.
Yeah, fuck yeah, I'm doing that.
So let's role play. Let's see if you know the script.
Okay.
So you know what? If you love me, why would you want to get a prenup?
Because we love each other, so we share everything we have.
Oh, so you're being a girl now.
Yeah, you said I
Okay,
was.
so you be the okay. So we love each other. We should totally get it. But at the same time, people change, and I don't know what's going to happen with you 5, 10, 15 years from now when you change. When you do change, and if you do change, I'm not going to risk everything I worked on for the last 32 years for that. God willing, I want to be with you for the rest of my life. But if all of a sudden you change, you want me to risk everything in the past? I'm not doing that.
But Pat, we love each other. We're going to be together forever.
And I'm betting that we're going to be together for the rest of our lives. But again, God forbid, if you choose to all of a sudden do something, is something going on back there?
Yeah.
Is it really? No shit. Is it really? Were you guys here yesterday to see what happened or no? Were you in Fort Lauderdale?
yeah, we were here. It's crazy.
Oh,
rain.
I heard that.
Insane
Yeah.
flooding, like the 12 inches of rain or whatever, schools getting shut down. But no, I'm having that conversation with you, and I'm telling you up front that I don't know whether you're going to change or not. If you don't change, we're going to be together forever. If you do change, I'm not going to give up what I've worked for the last 13 years.
Like for certain people or for you, was that an uncomfortable conversation to have?
Zero uncomfortable.
Was it
Zero.
an easy one to pull off?
Absolutely. You know why? If you carry the weight, you have the leverage. Good luck finding many men that are responsible men that have their shit together. Go ahead and find them.
Yeah.
Go ahead. A doer. If you're a doer as a man and you carry the weight and you providing experiences and on all facets you're doing your part, go ahead. I had a meeting with a guy, so he's having this conversation with me.
Yeah.
He's got a beautiful wife, a Syrian guy. Love this guy from Chicago. He's one of the guys we consult for. He makes $40 million a year. Super successful guy, right? We're having this meeting, and he says, what do I need to do for me to retain my C-suite executives? What do I need to do? 'Cause sometimes I go to sleep and I'm afraid I'm going to lose my executives and they're going to go to a different company. I said, are you married? He said, of course. You know, I said, I know your wife. But I said, how pretty is your wife? She's beautiful. I said, I think your wife's beautiful. You think your wife has a lot of options for other men? It's like, what kind of question is that? I said, it's a very honest question. You got a beautiful wife. When a man sees a woman, they don't say, oh, I can't look at her because she's married. They're like, she's hot. And you think there are certain men that are willing to break the rule and flirt with somebody that's married?
Of course.
Plenty of them are out there. Okay, great. So how come your wife hasn't left you yet? You think you're the best looking guy in the world? You think you're the richest guy in the world? What makes you think you think you're the best in any area of life? How come your wife hasn't left you? By the way, for 5 minutes, he doesn't know what to say. He is now you know where he's going? He's going to, do you know something I don't know? Is my wife about to leave? He's freaking out. Like, I'm about to get my wife to leave. But that's not the case. You know what it eventually came to? Here's the part. 5 minutes later, hasn't said a word, then he eventually says, because I deliver. I said, that's all you got to know. So in his wall right in his office, executive office, guess what's the quote on the wall right behind his desk?
I deliver.
Because I deliver. Massive that says because I. So every day he comes to his office, it says what? Because I deliver. So if your wife, even if you deliver, she chooses to leave you, whose loss is that? Not yours. Because the market's still going to be good for you, not for her. You're going to find somebody if you deliver. So
Girls just love a guy that could deliver, right?
Of course.
In all aspects of life, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
You got a lot of lost packages, eh?
Huh?
You got a lot
I
of lost
deliver?
packages?
Hell no, bro.
A couple return to senders?
I always think of Larry David. You know Larry David, obviously.
Yes.
And he had to get, when he got his divorce, he had to give his wife $400 million.
Yeah.
And it's just like, because not only at that point do you hate that person, but you have to give him half of what you earned, and I'm just like, that's double whammy.
Dude, Bezos gave $30 billion
Bezos too.
to McKinsey.
How much did he give her?
$30 billion. $30 billion.
So
How
in
do
a-
they
in
not
a way,
get a- how does he
she's
not
a
get a prenup?
businesswoman too.
How does he not get a prenup?
Well,
There must have been some
when
like.
No, he might not have
She
had
must have
money
been
when
dirty
he
talking.
might not have had
like,
money
They were
yet.
together for 25 years. So 25 years they were married. They got divorced probably 3 years ago, 28 years ago. I don't know what his net worth was 28 years ago, 1995. Is that what 28 years? What you guys were born 94, 93?
94.
Okay, so 95 is what it is. So 95, what was Jeff Bezos worth in 95? I don't know.
I see.
Yeah.
So-
I don't
so
think he had
it-
that kind of money.
It's different. So, but if you come from like you got money. You can't just be like, yeah, babe. No.
Yeah, there's zero chance.
What does that tell you though? If a girl says, "Hey, I don't feel comfortable doing this," is that when you say, "Okay, we're not getting married"?
Of course.
Definitely. You got to go all in at that point.
Of course.
Yeah.
Zero chance.
And they'll fold.
Yeah, and by the way, you know why? Let's say you fold. She'll know your threat doesn't carry weight for the rest
She's
of your
flipping
marriage.
7-2 offset after that.
What'd you say?
I said she's flipping 7-2 offset if you fold on that.
Oh yeah. There's a story I saw, and I want to ask you about it. You said at one point you were a muscle for a drug dealer. Is that true?
So you saw that video?
I saw
yeah.
it was a short clip.
I
and
only
it,
told that story one time or something like that. Yeah, yeah,
but
it
is
was.
Is
So
it all,
I got,
that's all true?
It is. Yes, I'll tell you this story. It's a funny story. So I'm crazy story. I'm at Bally's. I'm 20 years old. 21
Bally's in
years
Vegas,
old.
yeah.
Bally Total Fitness in Culver City, not the casino, but the club. And there's this guy working there, good-looking white guy, tall, 6'3", 6'4", and he's working sales, but he doesn't want to sell anybody. But he drives a Rolls Royce outside. So I'm like, a very weird, situation here. He would have all these nice cars, but he would never sell. One day he's coming with his BMW. One day he's coming with this car. I'm like, hey man, how do you make money? If you don't sell any membership, they're paying you minimum wage $720. You're only making $1,200 a month. And every time we get a walk-in, you give it to one of us, and a walk-in pays you $60. He says, you think I want to make $60? The hell am I going to do with $60? I said, why are you working here? He said, what are you doing this weekend? I said, nothing. He said, go party with me. No problem. So we go to 3rd Street Promenade, and then he takes me to Marina. He takes me to all these places. He introduced me to this Colombian guy, and then he says, this is how I make my money. I said, how's that? And you see a mountain white powder in this corner, and he says, you want to make real money? I'll show you how to make real money. I said, how's that? We have to go collect money from this one guy. You'll get paid $4,000 every week cash I'll give you if you come and do this with me. So I'm like, oh my God, what am I getting myself into? So we go into this one Marina del Rey yacht, and it's filled with these guys partying and all this other stuff. And the goal was to get the $100,000 that we needed to get. And anyways, 20 minutes later, we got the money and we left. It was a beautiful situation. They're happy. They're offering me all this stuff. And they said, look, man, if you do this with us every week, we'll pay $4,000 every week cash, not W-2, nothing. And I go home, I'm like, dude, I'm about to make some real money here. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm about to go to jail if I continue with this guy. Mm-hmm. I thought about it for 1 week, and then I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. This is not going to be the way to go. But it was the 1 week that I spent time with this guy, I realized how he was making his money. It was also an interesting story with him. Do you know David Giffen? You know David Giffen, one of the bigger Hollywood. He's like
I've heard the name for sure.
Yeah, so he is like the Weinstein. You know who Weinstein is, right?
Yeah,
the guy that got caught. Okay, so Giffen is one of these billionaires, like $3-4 billion guy, feared in Hollywood. He says, one day I get invited to his house because this guy wanted to be a star, actor, good-looking guy. He said, we go to his house. It's me and my best friend. And they say, David wants you to come upstairs. He says, we go upstairs to the room. I'm like, oh, my God, we're about to get into a movie. David's done all these different people he found. He's done this, he's done that. He says, we go upstairs to his room. And he says, so I'm thinking about putting you guys in this next movie. Great. What do we need to do? You need to give him a blowjob.
Holy shit.
And he says, I look at my friend.
Well, hold on, sorry. You had to give it? Or
No. The guy, this guy that was the cocaine guy, was the guy that went to David's house being invited because he wanted to be an actor, like a big-time actor. So he's telling him, you got to give him head and I'll put you in a movie because he got off of seeing men doing this to each other. And that was the starters. Anyways, his friend looks at him and says, look, bro, I'm willing to do it if we're going to get into a movie. Because I'm not doing it, dog. I'm out of here. So he left. He says, that's when I said, I'm not doing anything with Hollywood. And he got into cocaine business. And that's how he made his money.
Damn. Yeah, that shit goes on, I guess. I've heard stories like that.
He can't, people have to be way more cautious now. I feel like back then you probably could get away with a lot more. But now, I mean, that's fucking crazy.
I'm sure you're seeing
What movie was it? Hold on. Big film or?
That's a very valid question you're asking.
I'd have to see the script at least.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, at least read the script.
Who knows how big a movie
Top
was?
Gun, it's worth it, right?
Right.
If it's Top Gun, you're going to do it. Hey, we got to figure this out, guys. I mean, it's not like it's going to be public, but no. I mean, listen, it's a Hollywood. A lot of weird things would happen. I was a manager at Bally's in Chatsworth, and Chatsworth at the time was 80% of all porn was shot in Chatsworth. I don't know if you guys knew this or not. Chatsworth was like the capital of porn, and I would run the only Bally's club with outdoor swimming pool. So these guys would show up, and they're like, "Hey, would you guys mind if we stay here afterwards and do stuff?" I'm like, "Look, guys, you got an hour." And they would do all these crazy things. And I'm like, "Look, moving forward, you guys can't do this. This was a little bit too crazy what happened tonight." But you would get offered to be in movies all the time. LA, gym business. If you work in, if anybody's watching this, you worked in any gym business in LA in 80s, 90s, you would say it's absolutely right. All this craziness happens. It's that wild in the gym business. You met everybody. You met the guys that ran the biggest clubs, the biggest promoters, the guys with the best stuff, drugs, the guys that knew the girls, everybody. It's a very different, weird place to work in, but a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, what age were you when you got out of there?
Gyms?
Like just the Hollywood in general?
22, 23, I went straight to financial services, and then it was done from there.
Yeah.
One more thing I want to ask. I think, did you set the record for like the most expensive house bought in the Fort Lauderdale area?
I did.
What was it, 20 point something mil?
20.4 million. Yeah, 20.4 million.
So that was the most expensive house ever purchased in Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
That's a flex.
How many square feet is that?
11,000 square feet, 800 feet of water frontage, shy of an acre, 2 acre 3, in a gated community. Messi is right next to us. He just moved in 3 months ago. Kids are doing trick-or-treating. Messi's trick-or-treating with my kids.
No.
Really?
Tell me that's not the weirdest thing in the world. He was dressed as a, what do you call, jester? Is that what it's called, jester?
Yeah.
Jester. He was dressed as a jester, and his family's there. Chillest guy you'll meet.
Well, yeah, also your expectations for candy are probably pretty high.
Yeah,
If
you gotta buy
I was
those
like sign
big-ass
balls is what we
chocolate
want. I
bars.
want like sign balls. I want sign, gloves. We want some real thing. But if
Yeah,
people
you
just-
guys have to ball out for fucking
That's
Halloween,
right.
eh?
In the
Yeah.
community, yeah. It's disappointing. It's like, that's all you got? Is that all you got? A Kit Kat?
Yeah.
No Xbox? But no. Yeah. So, and here's what's crazy. 2 months ago, the record was broken by a house that's only on 0.3 acres. Wall Street Journal just wrote about this. My realtor sold that one on 0.3 acres
How's that possible?
at 10,000 square feet, sold for $40 million.
How?
What do you mean how?
This 0.3 acres is nothing, though.
Of course it's nothing, but you go out.
When'd you buy the
Oh,
house?
I see.
I bought my 2.5 years ago.
How many acres do you have?
Acre 2, acre 3. Yeah, the house, the market here is wild.
That's crazy.
Same realtor that, did our deal calling us saying you can get 45, 50 all day today.
We're moving here December,
Really?
Miami.
We're
To
leaving
Miami.
Yeah.
California.
You're going to be in Miami?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What part?
Miami
Think, like,
area.
yeah, Miami area.
Like Edgewater.
The whole crew, everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to love it. I'm sure you know this
We're coming over to
already.
your house, bro.
Come on down, bro. Anytime.
Thanksgiving.
You're going to love it. You're going to love it here. I'm sure you already know this, but you're going to love it here.
Yeah. We've been coming to visit here for like 2 years because we have a lot of happy dad relationships here too. So we never had to pull our hair to come here, but now that we're going to be living here, it's just going to be.
But I tell you, that delayed you guys getting married at least a decade. Because it's going to take you a long time to
But
go
that's what
through
I
all
mean.
the girls in Miami.
We've already experienced like the crazy Miami life. We've been coming here for what, 2 years? Steiny lived here for a little
Yeah.
bit.
But you're right. It's just
Oh,
Miami's
definitely.
just the place for that now.
This is why I live in Fort Lauderdale. I'm trying to stay married. You guys are trying to go
To delay getting
run.
married.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you're going to the right place.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's just gonna get crazier. Like I think the momentum is just getting started.
Yeah.
Of Miami.
Oh yeah, and at least it's gonna last a decade. Okay, it's at least gonna last a decade. So you're gonna have a lot of stories in Miami.
Yeah.
If you guys are moving, you said December you're moving down here.
Yeah.
December or January.
You already got the house and everything figured
We
out. Or
almost got it. Yeah. We have a few
is
offers.
everybody gonna be living together?
No, I think we're gonna have a few different spots. Just because if we got a big house all together, the market here is crazy.
It is,
one,
yeah.
and then we'd also need full-time security, which is insanely expensive.
I got one more thing I want to ask you. It's kind of a random question, but a lot of people obviously ask you for advice What's like the number one question people ask you?
Depends who's asking, right? Like, if somebody is single, they're asking me about marriage. If somebody is started a company raising money, it's a different question they're asking. If there's somebody selling a company, it's a whole different advice when you're selling a company. You got to be ready for that one.
I'm thinking like a kid. Are there a lot of like mid-20s, young 20s that are like, hey, I don't know what to do with my life?
Oh, brother, I would tell them, here's the number one advice I give to that person. Join a community. Join a community that is led by a killer. Fastest way to accelerate learning. Like, for example, if I wanted to go into Hollywood, first thing I'm doing is, if I was 20 years old trying to go into Hollywood, I would have gone into a community, meaning Vince Vaughn, John Favreau, keep doing movies together, go into that community. You're going to get a job. Adam Sandler, Schneider, keep doing movies together, get into that community. Jennifer Lawrence, Bradley Cooper get into that community. If you want to get into the social media space, get into this community. Find a community you're aligned with, get into that community. You'll learn chaos. You'll learn their mistakes. You'll learn what they're doing right. You'll learn habits, negotiation behind closed doors. Cameras are off. How are they talking? What are they doing? How are they making decisions? How are they closing deals? How are they, their day-to-day stuff? How serious are they? Do they have a balance of serious and having fun? What is that balance that they're having? How do they call each other out? Where's the level of accountability? How do you have direct conversations? How to bring people together? How many books do you need to read to get that? You can't. Mm-hmm. But if you get into the right community that is like this,
yeah,
and so much is happening, it accelerates the learning process by tenfold. So to me, forget about what industry get involved in. Forget about what company get involved in. Which killer are you going to go help? Which leader are you going to go support? And go pick up that guy's habits, what he's doing. You'll have an edge.
Amazing. Nice.
I think this is
Dude,
awesome.
this has been, I've had a great time.
I've had a
Thank you
blast
so
with
much.
you
Hey,
guys.
you
I
fired
love
me
your
up.
work.
You fired
thank
me up.
you.
I'm
My man.
inspired now.
Have I
Ready
fired
to-
you up to get married, or that's going to delay?
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
Like you said.
Good. Take
I
your
think
time.
another few years.
Good.
Unless you get bit by the love bug, and then you just have no choice.
Where'd you meet your wife?
So we met first June of 2002. I was in Encino, California. I'm in the bathroom washing my hands. A guy, Fernando Lasso, comes in saying, Pocahontas just walked in, because my wife had hair all the way down to her lower back. I'm like, really? I'm with a girl I'm about to get married to. And I walk into the room. Yeah, I walk into the room, and guess who's talking to Pocahontas? My girlfriend. So my girlfriend introduced me to my wife at the time. She's with a guy of 8 years. My girl and I are together for 3 years. And she said, hey, here's Jennifer. I'm like, oh, hey, what's up? Good to meet you. So tell me your background. Da-da-da-da. Great. 5 years later is the first, 5.5 years later, December 15th is the first time ever where both her and I are single. And we're at JW Marriott Palm Springs. And we're having dinner. And we start talking. I said, are you single? She says, I am. I had just broken up with another girl of 2 weeks. I said, what are you looking for in a man? She pretty much hit all the markers.
That's your slide-in line?
What?
What are you looking for a man? Just straight. What are you looking for in a man? Just straight up?
When you're looking for a wife, not when you're looking for a girl you want to hook up with. The line is not going to be what are you looking for a man if you're trying to hook up with. If you're trying to get married,
Yeah, I like that.
I'm
That's
going
good.
straight
I'm
up.
saying it's a power move.
Yeah, I'm
It's
like, what are you looking for in a man?
Yeah.
Because let's find out. Let's go through the filter. Because
we
I'm
should
not,
try that. You should
Yeah.
try that.
Well, I'm not looking to get married.
No, I know, but I think it's still a power move. I would
The
love
hookup
to.
line's a little different.
Is it effective?
It's
Yo.
effective.
Yeah.
Let's try that mic'd up and see what happens. Let's try it on.
That's funny, bro.
Let's try it on like 20 chicks.
But you have to be like, he could keep a serious straight face with
No,
that.
he can. He's
Yeah.
talented.
Yeah.
He can do that. He's part of that community that can keep a straight face.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I asked her. Anyways, she said I'm single, and then we drove home, dropped her off. A couple days later, we met at Jerry's Deli. I said, look, I think you like me. I like you. I think we should go out. She says, there's no way that's going to happen. I see you as a friend. She got up and walked out. She got nervous. And she went to Houston. I told my dad, I said, Dad, I'm going to go to Houston and surprise her and have lunch with her and come back. It's Christmas time. She said, you're going to freak her out if you do that. Anyways, middle of the night, I get a message from her on MySpace. Look, I respect you. I really enjoy our relationship, but I'm afraid I just got out of a long-term relationship. What if it doesn't work out? I don't want to compromise our friendship. And I respond back on MySpace, aside from risk losing our friendship, do you have any other concerns? And she has this poster. She has it on the printed out. And she responds back 6 hours later, no. I said, great. That's the night we talked for 5.5 hours later, 5.5 hours. She comes back December 29th, our first date. We go to P.F. Chang's. Then our second date, we go do the stairs. We go to church. We go to Santa Monica. We go to Earth Cafe. And then we go to Borders. And I bought her a book on our second date called 101 Questions to Ask Before You Get Engaged on our second date.
Wow.
I said, I'm not looking for a girlfriend. I'm looking for a wife. If this scares you, totally understand, but I've done the exercise with 3 other girls. I know exactly what I want. Take a week. Take as long as you want to answer the questions. If you want to get back together, let's go through them. A week later, she answered all of them. We had a 6-hour meeting. One by one, we went through the questions. Year and a half later, we got married. We got 4 kids now.
It's amazing. And what?
Yeah.
So 14 years of marriage.
Over 14 years of marriage, yeah. By the way, highly, highly, highly recommend you go through that book for your own self.
What's it called?
101 Questions to Ask Before You Get Engaged.
And you wrote it?
No, it's a guy named Norman Wright. And by the way,
Buy that on Amazon, Gabe.
yeah. And you know what the book is? It's just 101 questions. There's nothing in the book. Like,
so how many pages is it? Like
It's 101 pages.
Oh, and it's one question a page?
It's just a question, and then you answer it. There is no like 17 steps to whatever. Here's 101 questions you should think about before you get married. That's what that was about. So that's the format where, I bought 1,000 copies of that book, and I started giving it to all my sales guys, all the single guys. So any one of my guys that got married, they all got married after reading that book with their girls. All of them.
But the thing is when you give her that book, you got to be sure, right?
Yeah.
You can't give that to anybody. But the thing is, if you read it now for yourself, you're going to say, dude, I'm not ready.
Yeah.
That's why it's a good exercise to do whether you want to get married or not, because you're at least starting to think about, these are actually good questions.
Yeah.
Because if the love bug all of a sudden happens, you're like, dude, hang on a second. That question number 38 really got me thinking. What do you think about blah, 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 blah? So too many times we just get married because sex is good, because she's hot. And like, oh my God, we're having so much. She's so much fun. I just love seeing her. Yeah, but it takes more than that to marriage is.
Do you remember some of the questions?
What baggage do you bring to the table? Who's going to manage the finances? How long can you handle with me being away? How many days if I'm doing work? How many kids do we want to have? How do you manage relationship with in-laws? What are you going to do if I have health issues and I can't have sex for 6 months? It's very, very much of real questions you'll go through.
Yeah.
So you're avoiding the problems before you get married.
It's the best way to do it. Even when you become a business partner, it's the best way to do it. How many people start podcasts together? 2 years later, it doesn't work out. Well, you're not doing your thing, and you didn't carry your. It was not fair. I did it. It's you. Then you do it the second time around. Hey, let's get terms. Let's put everything on this. Here's how this works. Good. Let's roll.
Mm-hmm.
Great. So you're avoiding future arguments.
Yeah.
That's what it does.
Yeah.
And I'm all about avoiding future arguments.
Of course.
Yeah.
All right.
I love it. Well, this was amazing. We appreciate you having you on.
This was fantastic. Really enjoyed it. Thanks, guys.
Let's hang out again too if we move to Miami.
I look forward to it.
100%.
You want to plug anything?
You're the man.
Oh, man. Thank
You need to
you.
plug
We'll put all
anything?
Patrick's links in the description. Make sure you subscribe to his podcast too. Your pod is just absolutely crushing. Especially the clips too. I see them all over
Everywhere.
YouTube. I always watch them. So
Thank you.
You're an
We're
amazing
grown.
guy,
We're-
amazing
we're-
speaker.
Appreciate you.
Keep it
Thank
up
you.
and-
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for coming.
much.
Yes, thanks,
go.
guys.
All right, boys, thanks for watching the podcast. I want to shout out a couple bars that are carrying Happy Dad right now. We got Union Street Liquor in Franklin, Massachusetts. We got Star Liquor in Tempe, Arizona. We got 250 Breeze Mart in Richmond, Virginia. Town and Country Liquor in Chicago, Illinois. Cream Ridge Liquor in Cream Ridge, New Jersey. Shout out to all those bars. If you guys are a bar that are carrying Happy Dad, tag us on Instagram at Happy Dad, because we want to shout you guys out in the Full Send podcast. Happy Dad is available at so many different bars across the country. Go to happydad.com/find to find where Happy Dad's carried near you. Love you, boys. Cheers.